G'day and welcome to On The Esky. Boys, Rugby League, round 6. Every team has a loss, but not every team has a win. Poor West Tigers. Bit of over-officiating, Sin-bin madness, some might say. We'll discuss that. The AFL, Blues still undefeated, as are the high-flying Saints. Not as good news for our Delhi Capitals over there in the IPL. We'll talk a bit of cricket. NBA, reasonable NBA segment today. The playoff picture is set. The play-ins, high pressure for a few teams this week. And some tanking. Dallas Mavs in question there. The EPL is back. Arsenal dropped 2 points against Liverpool. They come away with a draw against Liverpool, dropping 2 points in their title race, plus a huge final round, UFC 287. And you might have heard of him again. He's back again. Israel Adesanya, massive win over Alex Pereira. A little bit of NFL news and the Masters, the first golf major of the year with John Rambo Ram and Coke getting it done over there in the Masters. Please remember we have timestamps. You can skip to the sports that you like or just listen to the whole damn thing. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook and the like. We like to start off the show by shouting a beer. Sean on my left. Bit of a niche sport here.
Yes. I enjoy doing it, going and
Niche
finding
for
the
us.
sports.
Niche for us, yeah.
That you guys don't prefer me talking about, but I'm going to talk about some ice hockey, and I want to shout a beer out to the Seattle Kraken. They have made it into the playoffs, the Stanley Cup, in their second season. So, which is also further impressive because they got the spoon last year. They finished dead last. I think they only won 20 odd games in total from the 90,000 that they play in a season.
I think it's the same as the NBA, isn't it? It's 80 odd.
Yeah, it's 80 odd.
90,000.
Yeah. Plenty.
There or thereabouts. Round up.
But yeah, impressive kind of turnaround to make it into their first final in their second season. That I think is pretty impressive and deserving of a beer this week. As the Stanley Cup kicks off, I think Avalanche will probably be up there as favourites.
That's who the Kraken have as well.
Yeah.
So good luck to them.
Yes.
Excellent name, the Kraken. Although I kind of have a bit of PTSD each time I hear that from some dark, spicy rum. I'm sure a lot of people listening may have encountered the Kraken at about 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. It's one that always seems like a good idea at the time.
But yeah, we might cover some of the Stanley Cup playoffs as we get deeper and more towards the end, and who's a winner probably in our Shadow Beer segments.
Obviously,
from me.
Astute observers of the game that is ice hockey can probably name 200, 300 players off the cuff right now.
Yeah, yes. Very casual. Very casual. Yeah, I'll just open the Wikipedia as that rather than...
Good luck pronouncing some of those names.
Maybe every second one. There we go.
I'll shout a beer. Tiger Woods, you might have heard of him. He's made 23 Masters cuts in a row. He was walking around like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. He needed some grease in his joints or, I don't know, a brain or whatever he was looking for. I don't know. That is not Tiger Woods. That is the Tin Man.
The Tin Man, yes.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. So Tiger... He made the cut. He had to withdraw because his plantar fasciitis was playing up this time after coming back from that horrific car accident with broken legs and the history of a bad back, and now he's got a quite a painful condition in plantar fasciitis in the heel playing up. No bother for Tiger. Goes out and does what he does. Makes the cut at the Masters and finishes ahead of guys like Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, all younger than Tiger. So I'll be shouting Tiger a beer. Was it the last time that we've seen him at the Masters? No, I don't think so. Was it the last time we may have seen him for a year or two? If he's going to try and get on top of his body and his health, possibly. Time will tell, and we will discuss the Masters in our final round. Shout out to John Rahm, the Spanish bull, getting the job done there at Augusta National. Monks?
Very good. Yes. This week I'm going to shout Jared Croker a beer, making his return back to first grade footy, back to NRL. Hasn't played for the Raiders since round 9 last season. Been marred by a few injuries here or there over the last couple of years.
Shoulders, hips, knees, the lot.
Yeah, that's it.
And admitted in the end, really, from because of said issues with body.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, I know I definitely got stuck into him for his performance, but it's also hard not knowing the full injury report in his rap sheet. And he was basically mostly tape and painkillers probably to play some of those
together.
games.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, great to see him turn to footy. Really helped the Raiders get their season back on the right line with a win over the Broncos this week. And yeah, hopefully he stays in the squad moving forward as well. He's about 7 games away from his 300th game. So
I was going to ask you how far he is. So is he in the 290s?
Yeah. So might be shouting him another beer in probably 2 months' time.
Yeah. And I had a quick check to see where he was on the total point scorers because I knew he was on that chase. He's still third. He's about 150 odd away from Al Masri in second. So it'll be tough to get there. And Cameron Smith is in a further, say, 500 away. So you think Cam will be safe for the foreseeable future because an 18-year career is pretty bloody long. Adam Reynolds is pretty high up there at 2,000.
Yeah, isn't he? Diggity.
Yeah.
But yes,
what Croker could do is if he manages to cement a place for the coming rounds is hit that 300 game mark, and I think he's second only behind his relative in Jason Croker.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which leads us into our round 6. No, it doesn't. It leads us into
a mop.
My apologies.
Yeah, we're keeping on theme.
We did it last week, so we're going to give another mop, double mop, mop it up.
They've gone mop free for a while, so we might as well bag on them while we can.
They've got some catching up to do.
The West Tigers, this feels extra mean, really, sticking the knife in after a very disappointing finish to their game today. Mm-hmm. But this commemorative jersey for Anzac Day, it's pretty mop-worthy. Sean, you got the story?
Yes, well, they announced it for pre-order during the week. Then eagle-eyed viewers, probably because everyone's on the Tigers at the moment, like everything they do is, bad, and they're looking
under the microscope.
Yeah, under the microscope, definitely. They're looking for stuff, and then they quickly realise that those guys, the silhouette they've used on the bottom of the jersey is actually of American soldiers of the Yanks, and not actually Australians, or not even Kiwis, like not even troops from. To represent Anzacs. There was some words, flying around on social media about they didn't use, Anzac to skip around licensing rules, fees and things like that. All I can find is basically through the Department of Veteran Affairs, you have to actually contact them, and the minister has to give approval to use the word Anzac in any sale of goods, like this is a jersey. But it doesn't seem like they've skipped any fees or they'd keep anything by calling it a commemorative jersey. But the NRL likes to pump out different sorts of jerseys throughout the year to get the cash on.
Why not?
They then followed that by putting Bateman, who's an Englishman, as their
not in the Anzac acronym. If
not Australian or New Zealand.
English is any good.
Backs, but yes, Pommy to model the jersey to take photos for it.
And then Clemmer got grilled as well over it. Yeah. So why are players getting thrown out there to...
Again, because Tigers, that's where they're at the moment. They haven't won a game. Under the bus. Yeah. They're
2 new recruits, no less.
Yeah. The media is definitely getting stuck into him. I loved Bateman's comment on his socials was because I'm the good-looking one, so...
Debatable.
Yes. But that was his response to it. And then it came out during the week as well. The Raiders did it last year. No one cared. So it kind of just, I guess, shows where the Tigers are at the moment, where the Dinosaurs are going after them, wanting Sheens' head probably at this point with another loss under the belt.
0-6.
They're really attacking the Tigers from everywhere. Nothing's going right. We'll talk about Adam Dewey in a minute. Possible third ACL for him, and they're banged up and not going anywhere fast. So yeah,
I think part of it also is just the lack of effort that the marketing teams have gone into. They've just gone stock photo, they've just chosen the first photo and just run with it.
That is assignment due at 11:59 and starting at 11:46.
It's the $5 fiver. Getting the dude to jump on and knock you up a jersey.
That is the due date is the due date from the Tigers team there. I'm looking at this Raiders jersey here. So what's the problem? The silhouette there doesn't depict Anzacs, and they've
it's another Yank soldier.
Like, and they've told that because it's not much in that silhouette. They've been able to tell that from the helmet, have they?
Yeah, well, by the gear,
or
and then
outline.
They've been able to find the stock photo, etc. And
so the Raiders flying under the radar there.
So then
that was last year's, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was last
year. Yeah.
So the Tigers have now, of course, gone back, redesigned and re-released it with new jersey, and it's very clearly that they've got an Anzac on there as the silhouette for the bottom of the jersey.
What about just Anzac bickies? You know, you could have the silhouette on there. You know,
Well,
a few good Anzac bickies this time of the year.
I think in the past they've done a bunch of poppies as well. Like that's very hard to fuck up poppies.
That's big in the AFL as well.
Yeah.
Essendon does that.
So there's some great, actually, some good AFL Anzac jerseys. Yeah, look, if the Tigers from the on-field performances, if this wasn't enough, the media and pseudo media like ourselves jumping on it, it was laughable, really. Wasn't it? It was more so the response. Like the old copy paste was pretty silly, but throwing players under the bus, having them to go out and face the media
again, because after the mop last week, which was essentially at the CEO of the Tigers, and you know he was all in the news, and then this happens, and they make the players front the media, not him, and then he came out, I think, like a day or two later after, and was like, "Where are you at?" And he was basically just his main quotes were "fuck off, leave us alone, we're the Tigers."
In verbatim.
It was a quick summary there, but
allegedly.
It's essentially what it was telling them. It was like, get off, leave us alone and get off our backs kind of thing. But it was shit on a Tigers week, and, not winning football games makes it very easy to be shat on because, it flows down the ladder.
The shit flows down. All right, Plumbing 101 here on the Esky. Shit does float downhill. Tigers, we'll talk about them when we come to rugby league. There was also a comment, I think we covered last week, from Tim Machines. Hopefully we beat the bye. They do have the bye, rest and recuperate, and then we'll have a chat as to where they can maybe get their first win. Which leads us into our Round 6 NRL wrap. Pretty reasonable week of rugby league football outside of maybe some over-officiating. Monks, did you get a tally on the amount of sin-bins, or are you still working on that?
No,
it's going to be pushing double digits.
No, it was less than we thought. It was 6.
6?
Yep.
6. Not quite double digits.
No, but there was a few games there was one big game, Cowboys-Dolphins, where they had 3.
But didn't the Broncos-Raiders game have 3, and then the Dragons game have 1?
Sin-binnings?
Yes.
I think you missed one there. I thought...
we even told him to use a spreadsheet. Mr. Accountant.
How many was in the Broncos-Raiders game?
There was no sin-binnings in the Broncos-Raiders game. Allegedly.
You watched this game, dude.
Yeah. I swear there was. I swear there was several.
I'm going to chat our research. I'm going to trust our research man down here.
Maybe I'm just confusing games. I'm getting old, so.
I am reading this, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, maybe I've confused games. Going back through our chat. Maybe I was watching the Dolphins game. This just shows how much of a Brisbane fan I am. I'll switch sides.
Get the hat.
Get on there.
The hat.
Get the fins out.
Please get it. They're back, baby. Here we go. The hat's coming in.
Fins up.
Fins up. Fins up. All right. Before we get to your third team that you've supported, let's talk about the Storm and the Chooks on Thursday night down there at Amy Park. There was some question marks a few weeks ago around the Melbourne Storm. Are they past it? Is losing half their forward pack to the Wayne Bennett-led Dolphins going to hurt them? Turns out when Cam Munster plays, they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah, Cam Munster good at football? Shock.
3 in a row, Chooks and Souths after sort of scraping past the Tigers. Cam Munster, absolute clinic. 2 try assists, close to 200 metres running the ball, 8 tackle busts, and a hat-trick for Xavier Coates. Tell you who the best 9 is, hands down, in the NRL these days? Harry Grant.
Harry Grant, yeah.
There's no arguing. Chook's probably reeling a little bit from this. Probably didn't expect to get, beaten so handedly.
Yeah. I think so. And yes, Storm at home maybe adds a little bit into that. And I think there was some chat about some of the tactics that Bellamy had used, going a bit more wider through the Chooks instead of trying to go through the middle of them. But, he's a master coach. He's going to get these boys ready for that. And, I think I just wanted to check, did Hughes play in this, or is he back next week? Jerome Hughes.
I did watch this.
Yeah, it was listed.
Yeah, so
He did play.
he's not there high in the stats, but he's probably played second fiddle, of course, the month during this. But they're getting. I think the main thing for Storm is they had a lot of guys missing the start of the season. They've kind of now, missed their couple of weeks while they sorted their niggles out. They're now healthy and firing on all cylinders. Nick Manning for them has also been excellent.
How good is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Melbourne, kind of by a lackluster, let's be honest, bloke from Canterbury and turn him into, if it wasn't for Ryan Pappenhausen, he could be their staple one.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep a spot somewhere.
He's got to play in the squad somewhere. It's just
floats out to the wing, I suppose, when Pappy's ready to go.
Exactly. But Melbourne, they do that. They find the right measurables, find the stats that they're interested in, where they know they can then mould and build the player with that system. They've got what they do post Bellamy, that's been in the news. They're pushing again the conversation that Bellamy may be in his last year, going closer to retirement. Billy Slater as a potential replacement, but I don't think Billy wants to be in club coach land. I think when he retires, maybe that's when the Storm will start to falter. But as long as he's there, they're going to be a good club and a good side for the foreseeable future.
I'm happy to go one further than that and say, as long as they've got that spine there, spearheaded by
Spines
Munster.
make the NRL.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
You can largely ignore a lot of the other positions if you've got the spine in place.
Friday night, the Dogs had their worst. No, I don't think it was their worst ever loss to South Sydney, but the first time that they've ever conceded 50 against the Rabbitohs. It was Latrell Mitchell's 150th game. That's pretty impressive considering he's 25. Can you get an age on Latrell Mitchell?
I don't even think he's 25.
Might be 24. Yeah. He's quite young, so 150 games, very impressive. He'd been a little bit slowed in starting his year with the one on his on the back of his jersey. Hat trick, 7 goals. Close to 200 run meters. Definitely showed up for this one.
Yeah, well, I think I said it last week. I think there's been reports that Latrell have been a little bit quiet in a couple of the games. Really need to step up, and against the Doggies, really showed out why Latrell is an elite talent, and especially in April, getting ready to go into May and Origin season.
Yeah, that's it. It's 25.
25.
Yeah.
When was his birthday?
Making you work overtime now.
He added up a second ago.
June. 18 June.
Turns 26.
Turns 26 this year, yep.
South look good on their day. Another double hat tricks actually. So one to Trell Mitt and one to Campbell Graham, who is really going to be pushing for an Origin spot. Obviously, very hard to fit into that stacked New South Wales back line, but he's playing pretty good week in and week out.
And Walker for them has been electric. So
3 try assists and a meat pie for him in this one.
There was a sin bin in this game from a hip drop tackle as well.
Yep.
So make note of that. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about hip drops in just a second. The Cows, they're 2 and 4, not looking that good. The Finns are back.
They right the ship. They look so much better than they did last week against the Dragons. I think their structures were very much built around, I think, Milford for the game. That was their game plan. And when he got hurt, they just lost their way. In the week that previous, getting Mikarima in there to play 6, I think it was the number on his back. They had what's the young fella's name? Katoa playing 7, and Katoa played his best game I think I've watched of the Dolphins game so far, and he kind of really took that side on. And I was quite impressed with his kicking game and the way he kind of played as first receiver. So, and they played better structurally because of it. So, I think that, they have that week. Wayne's worked his magic, getting them set to play, their clinical style of football, and then it just had to wait for the Hammer and Asako to go ham.
Who both have 8 tries on the year.
And 1 and 2 are the try scorers in the NRL. So.
I think Hammer's scored in every single game. Asako had a hattie in this one. Not bad for 2 blokes who were essentially rejects, and especially sweet for Hammer in this one against the team that rejected him, and Jermaine Asako coming from the Broncos as well. So they're one of their strengths has actually been 1 through 5.
They score points. And
who at the start of the year were all like, their forwards
they
might be okay, but this is a reserve grade backline.
Yeah. Edric was maybe looking a touch slow, but it was his first game of the year. But outside of that, they have a lot of veteran talent. That's the main thing. They've got guys that, probably floating around that 100 game mark. So they've played a decent amount of NRL. And again, Wayne Magic, sprinkle it on them.
It's crazy.
They're probably going to most likely be in the top 8.
Oh, that might be a stretch. Push for the top 8. Most.
I'm guaranteeing they're a top 8 side already.
Guaranteeing.
They'll be
strong language here in round 6.
Yeah. I think we've talked about the Deathwin Challenge, and they kind of responded. And Cody Rima he got one of the sin bins in this for hands between the leg and only just kind of got past the horizontal. And I don't remember who the attacker was, the ball carrier, but he did kind of tuck his head in that, so he might be okay and get away with a fine. So they should have both those guys go around next week in the halves. What was the other one? There was a hip drop. There was a late hit by Hess, where it was a step late and he got sin-binned on Katoa in this. And I feel like the third one was a hip drop tackle.
The third one was Brendan Elliott.
Not ringing any bells.
I can't remember.
It was a late one. Actually, no, that was a professional foul. That one was deserved. Of all the others, he held the ball, the attacker running through the line back. The other ones were, a bit soft. But that, I guess, is where the league's going.
Do you think Milford gets his spot back when he returns?
It'd be hard to see it happening, I think.
Yeah.
Katoa
and Hammy as well.
Katoa's a 7. He's like, when Sean O'Sullivan comes back, which is, late in the season after suffering the pec injury, but there's no reason why Katoa can't wear the 7 jersey moving forward. That's his, I think, his best position. I don't think he's really got the size or the defensive capabilities to be playing as a 6 in the NRL at the moment.
And whether he's a running 6, but it's whether they go that what the Cowboys have essentially, Tom Deedon and Chad Townsend kind of mould with the two of them. But either way, I think they've found Katoa. He's one of your halves. You need someone to pair him with. So you've got the old veterans and Nicarima and Milford there, and hopefully Sean and Sullivan's going to be that guy long term. But I think as long as Katoa is healthy, I think they'll go a long way.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
Into Saturday, Penrith absolute masterclass against Manly in the first half, although it was off the back of a sin bin. Sin binning's a little bit of a theme for this week. We will pick up on that in just a second. Let's talk about some guys who are really, really good at rugby league. Dylan Edwards, 4 tries, 190 metres gained, 13 tackle busts. Fair bit of rhetoric getting around that Dylan Edwards is putting his hand up for an Origin spot, and a lot of people, surprisingly, for me, think that he's better than James Tedesco at the moment. What's our take around that?
I think if Teddy's healthy, you got to pick him. He's a captain, isn't he, for New South Wales?
Yeah, incumbent.
You got to pick him. But at the moment he's not healthy, so yes, maybe Edwards makes the most sense as a fullback because you can still play Turbo and Latrell in the centres. Like that's where you still get all 3 of them on the park. That's the goal. But I know Turbo in this, he was quiet. Reports that he's played injured, whether I think it was hip. He had to have a needle to play through this game. So whether that meant Manly had a quiet night with a broken Turbo, because they tend to. Yeah, he's very much that squad, that side. They really gives them the energy and the go forward that they need, which is crazy for a fullback. But I think what we said with Penrith at the start of the year. They started a little bit slow. They lost a bunch of guys, new kind of structures, new kind of chemistry. We're now a month later, week 5. They've got that. I think this was kind of their coming out party with the new guys. They've got it. They've got it, the structures right. They're happy. They had the Headgear brothers going ham, and they can put points on. We knew that. And they sent a message in this week that they're here for the repeat. Well, the third time.
The three-peat.
Yeah, the three-peat.
Zach Hoskins, shout out, has been very, very good. Big shoes to fill, obviously, with Kikau leaving, but he's really cemented himself, I think, as that edge back rower. Obviously outside of Liam Martin. I think Manly maybe a little bit hard done by in the score that got put on them, given Sin-bins and just getting Penrith at the right time. Yeah. Anyone that was starting to sleep on them, I think. Maybe a little bit narrow-sided. Obviously, didn't have a great start to their campaign, but for me, they're still the team to beat, and I think the premiership odds reflect that.
Yeah.
There was also no sin-binnings in this game.
Now, what are we talking about? Something.
I swear there was.
There was lots of penalties.
Yeah, there was something early on. I was at dinner, so I actually strategically placed myself because there was one TV, but then we were in a booth as well. So there was one out of the 6 seats available at dinner could see the TV. And I've just gone and I've sussed out the venue and I've seen the TV and I've just popped myself in there and then had the baby girl in the high chair there. So I'm just, looking after her and then boom, direct view of the one TV. But that's my excuse. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't a sin binning, but it seemed like it was one-way traffic in the first half. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
No sin binnings.
No sin binnings in this game.
Well, we have conferred that.
But upset of the round, the Raiders getting a win against the Broncos. Broncos were undefeated going into this one at Suncorp. I think I was hooting and hollering about how bad the Raiders were going to get bashed in this game.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it and we knew Jared Croker was coming in and I was saying I don't think Croker is going to make the difference in this one. I was fully expecting Brisbane to put 50 on them after the way they played the previous week and the way that Brisbane had been playing and whether that played into this. The Raiders were up for it and the Brisbane thought they were getting a training run because it didn't turn out that way and the Raiders played really well to start this game, got ahead, and then kind of held on for the remainder of the game and played a really gritty kind of football game, which is surprising for the Raiders. They didn't have a bad second half.
Yeah. How's Jordan Rapana? Some pretty horrific scenes at the end of this one. Copping a knee in the back of the head spewing blood, really. Yeah,
so that was, I guess, the big controversy for this game was, a late bomb goes down to Rapana. Rapana takes it and then goes down towards the ground to find the ground and Tapau's come through and hit him with his knee across the back of his head and had a big laceration, blood everywhere and most likely a concussion. I don't think they confirmed it, but I think he'll get his mandatory stand down because it looked pretty bad. They kept him down. So, of course, getting kneed in the head, he basically was knocked out. He just dropped the ball. That just constitutes a knock-on. But, looking at it, you can see that he's clearly kneed in the head. I know the commentary was pretty in favour of the Brisbane that's not a penalty. I know Corey Parker, surprisingly, the sideline says, well, he's knocked the ball on, but also the defender trying to make the tackle, running through, should be more aware of the guy going down. Like, he hits him with his knees and he's standing upright. It's not like he went to try to smother him and tackle him as he saw him going down. Big man, kind of lazy.
Huge man.
Yeah.
Not a knee that you'd want to cop.
No, not a knee, exactly. No. It's not like he could have... Why didn't he potentially shimmy to one side? And you get all the rhetoric about he can't disappear, etc., like that. But I think if you knee a bloke in the head and knock him out while he's got the ball and you're the defender attacking him, I don't think you should get an advantage in play.
No. And duty of care was, I think, the word that the phrase that you used earlier on. Obviously, it wasn't his intention.
No.
But, could he have gotten himself out of the way? Hard to tell as well. It's easy when you slow things down and look at it, at quarter speed or slow motion. But heat of the moment, maybe Tapau couldn't get that knee out of the way. Obviously, we're just thinking of Jordan and hopefully, just misses next week and then doesn't have any sort of lingering effects. But it was a pretty nasty one to see live, wasn't it?
Yeah, and for him coming back as well from suspension, I believe, he
played his best game of the year before. Yeah. Like he scored a double, pretty instrumental in the Raiders winning this one, and this happens 3 minutes to go.
Yeah. The Raiders looked more confident. I thought Chris probably played his best game as a fullback as well. He looked more like a fullback for the first time this year. It'd be good to. I think Whiting will be back next week as well. So it was a really good match for them. They really tried to bash Brisbane off the park. I think losing Tom Flegler early, and that was a sickening one as well, which is, the opposite of what we just talked about, because he caught an elbow from Chris, which was essentially, it was a spinning back elbow. And it was bad.
But can we confirm Chris was the ball carrier and he had no idea?
No.
Again, just freak accident, really.
Yeah, Flegler's trying to tackle him. He's already, one of his teammates is already tackling Chris, spinning him around, and the arm just gets up. So, in that regard, it's not on the attacker to then. He's got to protect himself. He's in the tackle, and the defenders have to make the tackle and to be doing it in a way that they're not putting the attacker in a harmful position. That's why you can't go past the horizontal. That's why we don't have pile driver tackles, because you're the one affecting the tackle. So you have, say, more control over it. So, I've thought the penalty was warranted. I was kind of looking forward maybe to some golden point because Brisbane were kind of coming in that game. I was happy with the decision. I think it was a fair point for that game to end on.
So that head cut resulted in 18 stitches.
Jesus, 18.
Yeah.
And you just got to give him sorry, bro, you knocked on. The other team gets the ball.
Yeah,
that's fucked. Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in some of the commentary. I think it was Vossi. No, it wouldn't be Vossi. It would be the other bloke, which I don't remember his name.
Warren Smith?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. By all accounts, they're just calling it as a head cut. So no news or word of a concussion. So probably just misses the week, and then not sure how it works in the new scheme of
no
things.
Doctors here, but you think 18 stitches and you've copped the knee of a 118 kilo man in your head. But we'll leave that up to the doctors.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's just the wording of it, so that under the new rules, I don't know how it works on the new rules.
The big thing for him as well was no skull fractures. Because I'm pretty sure Rapana's history, he had one and had a plate inserted in his head at one point to start his career. If you go back, so he's had bad head injuries in the past. So when I saw it, I was like, "Fuck!" Hopefully that doesn't affect anything in his previous ones. But I'm pretty sure, he had a big scar on the side of his head he does because of the previous injury.
Turning point for the Raiders, do you think, in terms of confidence, backs up against the wall, go out there and ambush the Broncos?
With the Eels win today, I think they're back to second last on the table. Yes, they should take confidence in this, considering Brisbane's on the top of the table. They know they can compete.
Hostile environment.
Top teams, they should be playing better week in, week out. Going into the winter in Canberra, they should be creating that as a fortress here for home games. And they should be where we think they are, which is a fringe top 8 squad. So,
Jared Croker have any influence on this game in terms of a leadership, veteran presence?
Goal kicking, definitely 100% goal kicking.
Well,
was the difference?
Massive, isn't it? In a game like rugby league where it can be decided by someone's
He's
boot.
looking up Jordan. Can you give us the answer on my Jordan thing? I'll check the NRL because I think they scored the same amount of tries in this game.
Yeah, back in 2014, we had a head knock against the Dragons round 23, required a plate inserted into his head and 60 stitches.
Jesus,
from ear to ear.
So across the top of his head.
Yeah, but just noting this article from 7-8 years ago now, the doctors said that he could be in some serious damage if he receives another knock like that. So so that's what you worry about. Very concerning from that aspect, obviously.
That's on the forehead, the temple there, essentially, whereas the one he copped was on the back of the head. So you don't want to be copping those things, but I guess it's lucky on the back one. And to answer your point, they both scored 3 tries in this. The difference was goal kicking. So
bird of Jared Croker?
Yes. Croker did also kick a penalty goal, so that adds into it. But, he was 3 from 3 and Reynolds was 1 from 3. And then he got a penalty goal to again, kicking though, when they got the opportunities, that's 8 points off his boot. It helps. And, healthy Jared Croker not being held together with tape looks pretty good. I was really worried about because his defence had been pretty poor in the past, his lateral movement. But again, that's probably because he had crook knees, etc., and bad shoulders to tackle with. But he looked pretty good going up against Stags, I think, in this. Yeah. So he did his job well enough. They did score both tries down their side. Of the 3, they scored 2 of them down his side. But he's also playing with a winger in Hopewadi, maybe on that side.
I'll double check that.
It's a new combination. They've got to work the stuff. Hopewadi hasn't played many games as well for the Raiders.
Croker on Hopewadi side.
Yeah, they got to again. We talk about chemistry. You got to find it. You got to work through that. Their spine's been kind of all over the place as well. So hoping, like you said, kickstart.
Into Sunday, the 2 Caterpillar boys on the table. Our Dragons going down to the Titans. So the series goes to 1 apiece. They only played each other a month ago. Reasonable game of footy, I think, for the neutral. No AJ Brimson for the Titans. So Toby Sexton comes into the 6 with Tanner Boyd at 7 and Jaden Campbell at 1. Jaden Campbell looked very, very good in this. He looked dangerous.
That's why the Eels want to chase him as the X factor.
Yeah, and we didn't really cover it with the Eels. Like, does that? Oh well, we've got the Eels actually upcoming. That's why we haven't covered it. Jaden Campbell, he's pretty handy at attacking wise. A bit of a heartbreaker for Dragons fans in this one. The Titans crossing with the go-ahead in about the 77th minute to tie it up and get the win. There was a sin-binning in this one. It was Francis Molo. Little bit of a brouhaha, although... I
think he's third man in.
Yeah, third man thigh kind of gear, and he goes and it definitely didn't change the outcome of the game. Gold Coast just that little bit too good for the Dragons. Ben Hunt... I could do a podcast on how much I love Ben Hunt, like probably 2.5 hours. He had a try saver in this one. He had one where they'd done a grubber into our in goal. He traps it like a soccer player with his foot, picks it up, ducks under the incoming traffic, and then reaches forward to get the ball out of the in goal and place it over the line to make sure that we don't get stuck with a line drop out. If he goes down, may God have mercy on our soul. I think I've said that on the podcast before. Yeah. But his numbers in this one in a losing effort: 1 try, he has 4, playing 7 in 5 games. Try saver, 21 tackles, 5 tackle busts, 2 offloads. 7 out there offloading, 134 metres gained.
He's doing the hit-ups, bro.
340 kick metres. Yeah, a lot's been said about our pack. It's because we got Benny Hunt taking the tough runs. And we're actually very close to winning this game. And maybe a little bit disappointingly, we kind of controlled things in the first half as well. So maybe a little unlucky to not come away with the win. Interesting as well, our AFL correspondent in Steamer saying, didn't these blokes play each other 4 weeks ago? Like, what the fuck are they playing each other? Happens a lot in the NRL.
This season particularly with the
extra buy.
Team and
it's just
the buy and
just a bit all over the place.
You
said the NRL was trying to do hooker solid and keep him
in a job. Yeah,
keep him in a job. We did lose this one, but there's a few teams out there that Hook could be going, hey, see how shit they are.
Yeah, get on my back.
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, they do get the Raiders next week into the Roosters.
Yep. Yeah, and then Anzac Day could be interesting. Yeah, with the Chooks moving forward. Do have the Tigers as well, I think, after that. So we'll talk about that in a second. Knights Warriors. Can't say I watched this on a Sunday night. Knights get the win. Which sort of ends the Warriors' really good run, starting 4-1. Doubles to Greg Marzu and Adam Pompey.
Yeah, we saw Martin did the flip from the hip drop. Was there a sin-bin in this game for that hip drop?
No.
Interesting.
See, I don't know if that's a hip drop. And we need to talk about the hip drop. What is a hip drop?
Yeah, well, we might as well we cover that. And did we cover sin-binnings?
Well, we should talk about it now.
Yeah.
The hip drop is a weird thing, isn't it? There's some where you watch it and you're like, yeah, that's horrible. We need to stamp that out of the game. And there's some which get labelled a hip drop where someone has, often from behind, got the ball carrier with their arms around the waist and then drop their hips to take him to the ground, which essentially
drag the bloke down.
Essentially, 10 years ago, you'd say that's a good tackle.
That's tackling technique.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the 1 in 100 or 2 in 100 times that you do that,
legs might get caught up.
Well, actually, it's less than that probably. You look at the number of tackles that get made in that fashion. Mm-hmm. Sometimes someone's leg gets caught up, and then poor Tamari Martin, after a few years ago having that brain bleed and bravely coming back from that,
had a concussion at the start of the year as well, and
now he's got a broken fibula.
Yeah, broken fib.
Is that on the tackler in this instance? I don't know if it is.
Hip drop is a very hard one for those reasons you just mentioned. Because in a lot of situations, grabbing a bloke and trying to take him to the ground, legs are getting it tangled up, and it's potentially going to end up in injury. We know the NRL loves the grey area, and this kind of fits very much in that I don't know how you police it properly. Like I get the ones, and I think Maguire had a very good one last year for the Dragons that he got a couple of weeks for. Yeah. That you can see where it looks like a WWE move. He comes around, grabs a bloke, and then you can see like he lifts his legs and potentially drops his weight on purpose, landing on the bloke's legs, and he causes an injury. Like, I think in those situations, that's clear cut. You can definitely say that's what we want to get rid of. But I think a lot of the tackles where a guy breaks through the line, you grab him, swing around, your legs kind of get flicked around, and you're kind of sitting down, you're holding on to him. It's very hard. Like, you're kind of in the motion of tackling the bloke. You can't really control a lot of it. You're just trying to drop your weight and stop him from running. And, that's the legs. And you're going to get the legs mixed up on occasion. And that's, where results, one, in injuries, and two, in Sin-bins, we saw that in the Bulldogs game.
Yeah, it's very hard because it is a very incidental act as well.
Yeah, and
going through a tackle, it's similar to like the sling tackle in AFL.
Well, horse collar was
it's very hard.
Good comparison.
Like, what's intentional and what's just in the motion sort of thing.
Yeah, well, the horse collar in the NFL was the other one, and Roy Williams, the safety for the Cowboys, was well known for it, of grabbing the back of the jersey, pulling down from the collar, and then landing on the bloke's legs. Well known for breaking a whole bunch of dudes' legs, and that's why they outlawed the horse collar in that act. I kind of think that's where it goes. You got to. It's hard in the NRL because the way they like to police things. That's my issue with making this recommendation. But it's you have the clear cut cases. You got to study those and go, that's what we're trying to get rid of, and then this is clear cut, and the referee's got to work it out. But that's not NRL. Having black and white, what are you talking about?
But
they're working out as they're playing the game.
But the thing is, with this type of tackle, it's so hard to have black and white.
Yes.
A head-high tackle, you say...
you hit a bloke above the shoulders.
Here's the shoulders. There's a pretty clear line. You go above that, it's head high.
Yeah.
The spear tackle, and now with horizontal and as soon as you go past that line of horizontal, it's a spear tackle. It's a dangerous throw.
Same with shoulder charge. I think it was easy enough to recognise like what a bad shoulder charge is with the arms down and that missile kind of aspect of hitting with the shoulder, like you said, with a spear. You're leaving your feet and trying to take a bloke's head off. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But with this, it's so hard to define.
Yeah.
So they've kind of backed themselves up into a corner where they say, well, we want to take this out of the game. And often it's broken legs. It's on the worst case, it's the ACL which goes from this type of tackle. But often it's like a syndesmosis, or like we saw with Tamari Martin, a fibular fracture. It's going to be so hard for them to stamp it out, because what do you define as a hip drop? And then it's the age-old thing with suspensions, does the outcome of the player weigh into the punishment? Because this was really pretty innocuous.
Yeah. And what was interesting that this one, as Jimmy said, didn't get a sin-bin, but that Bulldogs one, which was landing on the ankle, not sure about that Souths guy. I don't think it was as bad as the broken fib. But that ended up in a sin bin. So, we're already kind of in this grey kind of area we're talking about. and for a sport which has a large segment involved in being on the ground, getting a bloke, tackling a bloke to the ground, you're going to get a lot of this because it's just that mechanism. Otherwise, you make it, as I mentioned before, a stand-up sport where you have the guy runs at the line and the two guys grab him high. You have you held and then you play the ball and you keep going. Or where the dinosaurs think the Oztag version of it, where you're grabbing tags.
South Park.
Yeah, yes. It's difficult. And then following on that grey area conversation, you get into the sin binnings. As Jimmy mentioned, we had 6 this week, which I think did Magic Round a couple of years ago have like 10.
Yeah, Magic Round was the fuck one 2 years ago.
Yeah. Again, it kind of boosted up sin binnings, but most of the sin binnings for innocuous stuff. So the Hess one I mentioned was a step late hit on the ball carrier, which in the past was fair game, easy enough. But I understand why they're taking it out. But what was the one last week? I can't remember who it was. It was Radley hit him high.
Yep.
Which fair. This one Hess one, he hits him like fair in the chest, like it's a chest bump. Chest to chest bump. So there's nothing foul in that besides it being late. The hip drop one as well, and the Cody one, which was slightly above horizontal. I've definitely seen worse tackles made in that. But it feels to me like they've gone heavy on, we've talked about this past, player safety, especially ball carrier. Not ball carrier, playmaker. So your halves protection. They're kind of going the way of the quarterback as a protected species. I think if Andrew Johns played in today's NRL, the Knights would score 100 points on the regular with his running game, and have
he's so good.
Yeah, well, the way he'd like to take it to the line, like he'd like to play really late in the line, and get punished for it, and that's what he wore. In today's NRL, if you're not going to get punished, he would have lapped it up, been an even better immortal than he was. But I get the aspect. I guess the question I'm going to ask is the 10-minute sin bin, though. If we're going to start sin binning guys for stuff that's in the past been pretty lenient, it's you slap on the wrist kind of things, and now you kind of the best way to explain it, you could go out there, punch a bloke in the head, probably get sat down for 10, maybe get sent off now, but you could take a bloke guy's head off, get sat down for 10, or you could have a step late hit and chest bump a guy. If you knock him over, he gets back up, it's fine. You also get set down for 10. I think you're having the same punishment for such a very different spectrum of incidents is maybe where we get back to that conversation of does a 5-minute sin bin make sense?
I think you always have to have the conversation, especially the way that the league's being officiated. You rub someone for an eighth of the game, especially these days with less, interchanges available. It has a huge effect on the outcome of the game in a lot of circumstances. So maybe that is something that we need to consider, bringing in a 5-minute sin bin. That doesn't then bring up the whole other issue of what's a 5-minute sin bin and what's a 10-minute sin bin, and
NRL loves working in that grey area and hates being consistent.
And then that just brings in more grey. So my fear is half the time you'd be watching it and you go, well,
is that a 5 or a 10?
That's not a 5 or a 10, or that's not a sin bin at all. It might just murky up the waters. I don't hate the idea. I'm not opposed to it by any means. That's just the problems that I can sort of foresee already.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had this conversation on the podcast.
I think we might have. It's definitely coming back to it.
But maybe not less so on the 5-minute sin bin, but more so on they don't use sin bins enough or send-offs. So I think they've kind of gone, well, we use send-offs for those really areas things, like you go out and king hit a bloke, you're like, your day's done. Whereas, they're kind of using, hey, we're using the 10-minute now as the punishment. We're using it more often, which is probably what I feel like we asked for. But then I think they're now using it more to police more things. They've thrown a few extra laws in there. Oh, you caught speeding, cool. 10 years jail for you as well. It's just like murder and speeding, I think, are different things. It's kind of what I'm getting at with this analogy. Whether there needs to be another set of laws there, another set of punishments essentially to cover up some more of the less.
Do you know what they should do?
What?
Just put it to a Twitter poll.
Yeah, ask the crowd.
Just ask the crowd.
Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down. Should we send him off?
The gladiators.
Yeah.
What's his name? Joaquin Phoenix is there. He's got his
Just
fucking
walks out
golden
into the
olive
middle.
branches sitting up there, sending Maximus to his death.
Yeah.
Boys, I don't think we've got the answers. I don't think NRL's got the answers.
Yeah, I don't think we can bang our brain cells together to come up with answers for this, but neither does
The three of them making contact at the same time.
Three, you reckon?
Yeah, it's probably more than what the NRL has. But anyway.
We're speaking, so I presume that needs actually it's probably 6 because you probably need 2 cells to be able to communicate with each other to formulate sentences.
Yeah, one for thought.
Well,
one
I
for
can't
speech.
formulate sentences. So.
0 down the end.
Yeah, I'm using my speech brain cell instead of my breathing one at the moment. So.
I better talk so you can have a breath.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. There was a game today, and the poor hapless Tigers of double mop fame, they go down to Parramatta in really a valiant effort. Your heart kind of goes out to Tigers fans. I spoke about this last week. It feels like punching down. I'm happy to give it to anyone except kind of Tigers fans. I kind of feel
It's
like
been 10 plus years, bro.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's they're protected species nearly. It's like there's some people that you just can't rip on. And
They're on the endangered list.
yeah, it's critically at this stage. Like this is white rhino kind of shit, if you will.
Yeah, well,
The Bengal Tigers.
I brought up that shit chat from last week that maybe just roll them into Penrith and then be gone with them and create another team somewhere else. Hopefully it doesn't go that way, but yeah, they really need to do something.
Anyways, in terms of today's game, very unlucky. They had Para on the back foot big time. Were pushing, for a second half comeback. Charlie Staines spills one. It goes into touch off a line drop out, and then Para go and score through Micah Sevo, essentially to ice the game. And then the big, we kind of alluded to it before, the big sort of takeaway was Adam Dewey. He went up to take a short kick off, took it, landed pretty much non-contact, and that left knee, it didn't really hyperextend or buckle or anything. It just sort of, he landed in it, in a bit of knee,
off maybe.
Bit of knee bend and went down. And unfortunately, the news that's coming out, they hasn't had a scan yet, but they're fearful that it's a re-tear of that left ACL.
Yeah, another. What's the difference between a tear and a rupture?
They're essentially the same thing. Rupture often refers to grade 3, so the whole thing goes through, whereas a tear, might be grade 1 or grade 2, where it's still intact. I suppose he's going to have to go have scans, and then time will tell. One of their best players, so if he goes down and they're 0-6, you can imagine the morale on the club slips even further down.
Perfect segue here and timing. Here's a Tim Sheen's quote: "Ask me tomorrow how I'm feeling when I wake up and realise it wasn't a nightmare." On the realisation that he's lost Adam Dewey for the season.
Suspected needs scans. Let's hope for the best.
And after, of course, Mitch Moses had sparred their advances and re-signed with the Eels.
He was the difference in this game. His kicking game was elite. He was looking like that origin-worthy Mitch Moses. And Para, outside of him, pretty lackluster, really. The players in the post-game interviews were all a little bit flat. They didn't really seem like they just won a game on a public holiday in front of a reasonable crowd. They really probably expected to do this pretty comfortably.
Tigers showed some fight, but wasn't enough, unfortunately.
We're just thinking of Dewey. Obviously, we'll talk about next pod in terms of what happens with his knee, and their season is really looking dire if he's gone.
They do get the bye next round, so
hopefully they can beat him hard.
Yeah, they'll get some points at least.
They play the Dragons in round 10, I think.
I was looking it up and I was just like, you asking where they're going to get their first win from. So I was like, when are they playing the Dragons? Round 10. But I guarantee the week before is when they'll sack Hook and that'll be the game the Dragons win.
It's funny. Because,
Always good for one.
Oh, well, so I think West won 4 games last year. I think 1 was against the Dragons.
Yep.
I think 2 were against Parramatta. And I thought that...
Bogues.
Yeah. I thought the bogey was going to continue in this one, but that they just held on. Feel for your West Tigers fans. I'm not going to punch down anymore. Nico Hines, the Sharks had a bye week, but signed a massive deal. Don't think any numbers confirmed, but it's a 6-year deal. He said he was happy to sign for 20 years and give him a coaching gig afterwards. One of the hottest properties in rugby league at the moment, and has been locked in for a long time there at Cronulla.
I think from memory, maybe not memory, the rumour was that he's getting close to $1 million a year, and it's escalates as it goes through the 6 years, of course.
So loaded back in.
Yeah, I think he should play 6 for New South Wales.
Yeah, well, a lot of teams have
I hope he doesn't. As the Queenslander, I hope he doesn't play 6. I'd rather he didn't.
At this time of the year, you can start talking about Origin. You can start talking about who you've got in your teams, and a lot of the mock teams that I've seen have got Jerome Luai dropping out for Nico Hines. I suppose the only thing that Luai has going for him is that that Penrith connection.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to mention New South Wales, because I'm not sure if we covered it, the Fox and his syndesmosis.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
I think they say 8 to 10. He had surgery. Yeah. So he's probably going to miss 8 to 10 weeks, which means he'll miss
past half the season.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of Origin. When does Origin?
Origin was
May end of May is when Origin starts.
I think game 1, that's him confirmed gone.
Yeah. I was just trying to work out whether he maybe but also
June 21 is game 2. So we're now start of April. So he might be back for game 2.
Yeah. But
if they pick him.
If they pick him, which is rumours that they weren't going to.
But if he hasn't played any football, then maybe we don't see the Fox again.
Yeah, well, that's a chat that he's probably going to miss out on a spot in that very, very hotly contested back line and open up a spot for a potential winger to come in there.
Just real quick back on the Tigers, they won 3 games last year. They were against the Eels, Dogs and Broncos, so Dragons were safe.
Oh, it must have been the year before. They win 3 last year.
Yeah.
I thought they won 4 for some reason.
They played the bye.
I've got 4 here, dude. Are you looking at 2022? Was last year?
2022?
Yeah.
West Tigers?
We won 4, yeah. He's got 4 wins there, 10 points.
My app's lying to me. I swear they beat Parrot twice last year. All right, West Tigers got smacked by the Raiders. I'm going back here. The Dragons beat them. Let's go.
Oh, they did have 4?
Yeah. What was the other one?
What was the
Parramatta?
last round?
72-6. Fucking hell. Things are looking up this year. Things are looking up.
Have they played the Roosters yet this year?
No, they haven't. I lost to the Sharks. Lost to Newcastle. That sucks. They beat Brisbane.
Yeah,
say that?
You said Brisbane.
Yeah.
Brisbane.
You got Brisbane Eels and Doggies.
Oh, they got robbed against the Cowboys. Remember that one? The short kickoff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The penalty. Yeah.
They
last win.
They'd lost at least 1 game to Parramatta last year. So maybe I'm full of shit here.
Yeah, so it wasn't 2 Para games. Can't you just look up Tigers 2022 season?
Probably.
Oh.
I'm just going back to Easter now because I'm pretty sure the Easter Monday fixture they beat them.
2022 season. Who's going to be fastest man in the world? we're having
21-20, West Tigers beat Parramatta last year in the reciprocal feature.
There you go.
Fixture even. Feature works.
So who'd you have as their wins?
Well, now after looking at it and seeing that they didn't beat Parramatta twice,
So
I'm going to go Brisbane, Parramatta. Did they beat? No, they didn't beat the Cowboys because they had that robbery. The Dogs, they beat the Dogs.
Rabbits, I think it was. The 23rd of April.
This is
23rd of April, which would have been
good listening.
Round like 7 or 8. They beat the Rabbits.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Lost to the Dragons. Yeah. Lost to Manly. Lost to Cowboys.
Oh, yeah,
We've got it.
The Bulldogs. Yeah, it was Rabbits. They beat the Rabbits.
So they beat Para, Dogs, Rabbits,
Brisbane.
Importantly,
and
Dragons
that was
won.
No Dragons. is what we-
And we might need to edit that last 2 minutes out. We're live. Quickly through the ladder, Broncos stay on top despite that loss. And then Penrith, Melbourne, Dolphins, Warriors, Gold Coast, Roosters. How good's that? Absolute logjam through there. Newcastle, Manly, both on 7, into South, Dragons, Dogs. And then there's a bunch of teams which are 4 points ahead of the West Tigers in Cronulla, Parramatta, Cowboys and Raiders before you get to the West Tigers. How about those 4 teams? All top 8 teams from last year, and they're all stuck down there on 4 points.
So, question for you. How many Sydney teams are in the 8? 1, 2.
Yeah, interesting point.
Yeah.
Two Sydney teams. Early days.
Long season.
Long season, etc.
Should we talk some AFL?
Let's talk some AFL. Give us the sound, Mugs. How about those Lions, Shauno? Collingwood looking pretty hot through the first 3 rounds, and then Brisbane on their turf at the Gabba looking very, very good.
Yeah, that's probably the caveat.
Cavity.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
The cavity.
Too much
caveat,
sugar.
yes. The Gabba, yeah. They're playing at home, and that has been their fortress for them, and is where they play really well. They moved Cam Rayner into the forward line for this, and he got 4. Charlie got 6, played really well. I don't know whether I feel like it was Gabba and the Lions finally got up for a game. The challenge for them is playing these guys in Melbourne.
Of course,
in
or
Victoria.
anyone in Melbourne.
Yeah, so they've been found out in all those games so far. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself. The Pies have been really hot, and the Lions, if they want to be a top 4 side, have to compete with these guys, get a good win here at home as they needed to. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Interesting decision from Collingwood and Craig McRae, obviously losing Big Darcy Cameron for 6 to 8 weeks. With the MCL, Brodie Grundy leaving at the start of the year, Mason Cox unavailable for this one. So they kind of went into it without a designated ruck. So Dan McStay gets thrown in there against his former teammate in Big Oscar McInerney. And
What Big O stats? Did he have all the clearances?
he was actually following up a fair bit of his own ruck work, and he did get a fair few clearances. I think he had maybe 40 odd hitouts in this one. Pretty tough ask for someone sort of 15 centimetres undersized. Although it wasn't one-way traffic, it kind of goes to show that, having that elite ruckman, and just because they get their hands to the footy first doesn't necessarily result in a clean clearance.
Clear out.
But it was the second and third terms, the Lions absolutely dominant, and those small forwards are pretty deadly. They're 10 goals between Charlie and Cam.
Your Blues?
Yeah, the biggest crowd ever for Good Friday. Just a tick under 50,000 there in at Marvel. Shin-boners be pretty happy with their performance and turnout as well.
It's pretty crazy considering where North Melbourne have been in recent years, and that was probably more people showing up for this game than across all of NRL in Sydney this week. So,
well, it's testament to where the AFL's at. This post-COVID kind of era now where fans have kind of been starved for turning out, and any sort of big fixture in Melbourne, the fans are turning out in droves. We saw 85,000, I think, last week for the Richmond Collingwood game.
crazy.
Saw a big crowd in the Tigers game this week, which we'll get to in a second. But the AFL will be very happy with the fans turning out in Melbourne.
It does help, of course. Melbourne's been winning games to start this year, so
yeah, well, North Melbourne.
yes, North Melbourne.
Yeah, well, they've won a couple, but it's not. I don't think they're we're talking about flag roos at the moment.
No, but having said that, they only won a couple last season.
I think they're on the same amount of wins.
Yes,
through 4 weeks.
So
that does help.
having a bit of hope, and some young fellas really turning out for them.
Big time, yeah. The Sheasel, the Cheasel, Harry Sheasel. We have checked the numbers by a fair stretch. The most disposals ever through 4 games, through the first 4 games of your career, I should say. 34, 30, 26, and then a lazy 37 in this one. Was taking the kickouts, which inflates the stats a little bit, but very, very impressive stuff from the 18-year-old there. Mark Bairstow, 121 for Geelong. Greg Williams, 116, the Diesel. And I think, quick maths, what does that add up to? Was it 131? 64, 90, no, 137. So handedly ahead of those guys. Harry Sheasel, very bright future ahead of him. Speaking of bright futures, the Carlton Blues, they were one sort of brain melt away from being 4-0, through the first month of footy, although we'll take the undefeated. Charlie Curnow, I think Kane Corns has got him as the best player in the AFL at the moment. He booted 6. Big H, Big Harry Mackay kicked 4. The Twin Towers, when they're operating, looking pretty good.
Yeah, did Mackay have the worst miss of all time?
Pretty bad one, yeah. Pretty bad. But didn't cost him the game.
Did he even hit the target?
Well, he got it behind.
He did get it behind, okay.
Pretty. It would actually be more impressive if he didn't get it behind. But he did boot 4, and his overhead marking ability is insane. Strength. Mark Pitney back in the mix. One of the strongest full forwards getting around, and a lot to be excited about for Blue Baggers because there's a bit of a whiff around. The media that Sam Walsh could be back for this massive match up against the Crom Thursday night to kick off Gather Round. Interestingly, the Blues haven't won at the Adelaide Oval. Think about 0-6, 0-7 against both Adelaide and Port Adelaide, and a really good opportunity come Thursday night to get their first ever win at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, it's probably worth talking about the Crom next.
Straight into them. They're looking pretty good.
Win. Yeah, they're looking very good, getting a win over Fremantle here at home. And they're playing a pretty exciting attacking kind of footy, getting some good points. And Tex, they're kicking goals.
Yeah, everyone kind of thought last year he was going to take a step back and then had one of his best years in recent memory, and then kind of a little slow starting this year. He boots 4 in this one. But you got to talk about their young smalls. Josh Rochelli, second-year player, and obviously bringing in Isaac Rankin from the Suns. They had 3 apiece. They're looking pretty good, the old Crom. And then I suppose the other talking point out of this one is Freo not looking so good after last year, definitely going in the right direction. They've only won 1 game, and their only win was against the Weagles, who had 5 or 6 outs. So it's not a great start for Fremantle. And
with Geelong's win today, would they be last?
No, I think Hawthorn will be last. Monks, you can bring up a ladder, but they're not far off it.
Yeah, okay.
Dogs get a crucial win against the Tigers. 5 points, topsy-turvy game, really topsy-turvy in this one. 56,000 in there at the G. The Dogs started pretty hot in the first quarter, and then the Tigs kicked 7 straight, and then it was sort of a scrap till the final siren. Our boy Johnny English,
Timmy Johnny English.
He's really cementing himself as an elite ruckman in the AFL. If people want to start talking about him as a tier 1 ruckman, I'm probably not going to argue anymore. Maybe not in so
Where
much.
would you rank him?
That's a great question.
Number?
Well, I think Max is
one.
Max is head and shoulders 1. I think Sean Darcy has a pretty good argument to be 2 these days. And then if you want to have Tim English as 3, I probably don't have many arguments for you.
Yeah.
And, if you want to have him as the best possession ruckman in the AFL, he had 20 in this one. He had 17 kicks. That should be 3 games for a ruck.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Resident,
It was a whole season for you.
Resident Magoo's ruck here. A ruck getting 17 kicks on the weekend, and 2 of them were goals. 9 tackles as well. It's kind of like having a fourth midfielder out there. He's doing a lot. Big Tim English, big Johnny English.
Is it that kind of like a healthy knick-knack?
Yeah, I don't know. Like knick-knack back in the day, Yes and no. Like Nick Nat used to get a lot of possessions, but maybe even stronger at the contest. But then Tim, like his engine, like the way that he moves around the ground, and he's just so balanced and coordinated. For
a big man,
for a bloke that's 205 plus centimeters. Yeah, he's really cementing himself as a premier ruckman in the AFL.
Where do you think the doggies from here? Do you think I think they're middle of the pack,
definitely.
But do you think they're starting to turn that ship around a little bit and find the right direction?
They were very ordinary in their first 2 games. Like I was like genuinely concerned.
Yeah. Hammered the Lions and then
two and a bit goals. Yeah. But it was probably the scoreline didn't really reflect how good they were in that one. Yeah, they're 2-2. They are middle of the pack. I think they'll be sort of exactly where they were last year, sort of sniffing for elimination final berth. Do I see them going far? Maybe not.
No. Okay.
Richmond's the other talking point of that. They had the draw with Carlton and then outside of that have 2 losses. So, I think it's end of dynasty time officially, mate. Yeah, for Richmond.
I wouldn't put a complete line through them just because they still got a dude called Dusty in their team. But he's
and bringing in Taranto and Hopper, helps their engine room. Tom Lynch is elite, but
Bolton was very good in this. But it's just.
Do you think they can win the whole thing?
I don't.
That's my argument.
Yeah, they're not.
They might. In fact, these 2 teams are very, very similar in that they're probably good enough to be top 8 teams.
Yes, their lists are very, very good. It's just winning football games on a regular basis.
Are they a Melbourne Demons or a Collingwood or dare say Carlton?
Yes.
No, I don't think they are.
Yeah, I agree.
Another team that needs to maybe get mentioned with those heavyweights is St Kilda. They're 4-0. Ross the boss. He's got the Saints working. They belted the Suns here. Jack the tip rat Higgins birding 5. Bookies have got them $15, and I think the big question mark around them is have they beaten quality opposition just yet?
Yeah, true.
Suns, Essendon, Bulldogs, Freo. So we've just spoken about Freo's woes. Suns and Dons, probably not there. And then maybe the Western Bulldogs, the only okay sort of team that they've beaten.
Well, the Dons are the only ones in that list that are in the top 8.
In the top 8, and we'll talk about them in a second. They've been pretty impressive. The caveat with St Kilda is they're 4-0 with no Max King, no Jack Steele, no Jack Billings, Membry, a host of others that are still got to come back into this side. I don't really care who you're playing. If you miss it, they're literally missing their best player and their second best player in Jack Steele and Max King,
and currently 4th on the ladder,
which is incredible. No, they're currently first.
First. Sorry, I'm looking at this.
They're currently 1-4. They've won
4 in a row. Yes,
4-0. Yeah,
sorry, yes.
They're 2 points ahead. Their percentage is 160. So, maybe they haven't, played a Melbourne Demons just yet, but they're doing all of this without their best 2 players and then a host of others. So it's going to to be interesting. Who have they got this week?
Yeah,
Collingwood.
I like that. That's a big test of where they're at. Litmus test. pH.
And, it's still good to start the season like this. You want to carry this momentum. So, Collingwood's a great one. Can they carry all this momentum into a game like that? Collingwood's going to want to come and play really well after getting beaten up by the Lions at the Gabba. So, that'll be a good game of footy.
Well, even the next, month or so, footy, bodes well for them. So they've got, outside of Carlton, the week after, they've got
I don't know where you're looking. The 3 games looks fucking hard, but then it does get a bit
It gets a bit easier.
So what is it? Collingwood, Carlton?
And Port.
Then Port. Then they got Melbourne.
I think
Crom. GWS.
They play North Melbourne, Adelaide, GWS, Hawthorn. So if they can get through that tough period, they've got a reasonably
undefeated season, bro.
Reasonably easy back end of May.
Yeah.
So speaking of Port Adelaide,
Port and Sydney a really instant classic game there at the SCG. Poor Paddy McCartan subbed off with concussion. I think he's had 8 or something. And this one looked pretty innocuous. Didn't look like there was much in it. But obviously you've got to, probably err on the
Stuff
side of
worrying.
caution, in a player that's got a bit of a history. And this one went down to the wire. Did you guys see Ollie Florent outside 50, boots it? Half the Swans were celebrating, and it was former teammate in Lear playing goalkeeper. Yeah. He looked like Mark Schwarzer there, fucking defending the crossbar, and it falls just short and breaks the hearts of a pretty reasonable crowd of Swans contingent there at the SCG. Shout out to Jeremy Finlayson in this game. He booted 3. Pretty emotional in the post game. His wife is fighting cancer, so wishing her all the best. And Port getting a really good away win there against the Swans. It's hard to go to Sydney and win in Sydney. And Port, after a very disappointing 2022, have started this year at Desmond Tutu's, so they'll be there or thereabouts. Gets us into Sunday's games. The Dons, Don the Sash. Geez, if they could kick straight, could have really won this.
Jeez, 22 behind.
50 or 60. Yes, they kicked 11-22-88, but got the job done against the Giants down there at Marvel. Speaking of, kicking straight, the package Shake Stringer had 4 goals, 6. Really could have, stamped his authority on this game. Monks, did you see this game or see some highlights?
I did have it in the background. Like you said, just if they could kick straight, that'd be an amazing team. Did see Stringer boot one from like 55, 60 out, absolutely straight down the middle. So heaps of upside there. Happy they're sitting 4th in a very early part of the season. Just hopefully they can keep it going. I think, they were probably aiming a little bit better coming out of the middle of the field into inside 50, which was promising, a little bit more, I guess, thought behind where they were kicking, trying to get easy marks around the perimeter and give themselves a better chance.
I like it. It's good analysis.
Yeah, thanks.
Perimeter. Mason Redmond, Zach Merritt, Sam Draper, your boy, Sammy Draper, all pretty good.
All good.
And this one, we spoke about him last pod, but we got to talk about him again. Tom Green, he's a Canberra lad. Big-bodied midfielder, obviously, Torino and Hopper leaving. I mean, someone's had to step up, and it's been Tommy Green. He had 34 posies in this one to back up. Three games this season that have all been pretty good. He's sort of averaging low 30s and is starting to really sort of cement himself as their prime ball getter.
And they really need some extra help in that team to try to avoid being right at the bottom.
The Jesse Hogan experiment doesn't seem to be working. The other thing that we've got to talk about with the Giants, they're 1-3. Their percentage is 93. They've been in all of these games. Yeah. They're not getting blown out of the water like we've seen Hawthorn or a few others. But they definitely don't seem to be the team that they used to be. Melbourne smacked West Coast over there at Optus. Pretty much the usual suspects. Petrarca had like 29-3. Clary doing a pretty good job for winning at Brownlow, although may have a bit of competition. Tommy McDonald kicked 4. I think Cozzy Pickett could have kicked a bag. Had a lot of behinds. Not much really to talk about in this one. Melbourne, very, very good. West Coast, very, very ordinary. Yeah. And then the old boys, they get the job done. Geelong, after starting 0-3, the defending premiers.
I can't believe they were behind in this game. And
they were behind the half.
Very slow start.
And then what was the third quarter? 65 zip.
Yeah, got a real good kick in the ass. They really needed it.
Fuck, that is deflating for Hawks players and fans alike. Do you see Jeremy Cameron?
27-30. They scored 100 points in the second half.
Yeah, wow. Chaz, aside from kicking 7 goals in this and looking so fucking good through all of their games, because he again had 22 disposals. It's second time he's had over 20s. He was celebrating a goal and took out the umpire. Like he was fired the fuck up. You booted 7. Pulled your finger out in the second half as a team.
Got to win.
And I don't know where the umpire's looking, but Jez was not looking at him and absolutely steamrolled him. He looked like a size 16 bowling ball just going straight down the middle. Strike! Picked him up. But Jez Cameron's having himself a year in a team which has been pretty lackluster otherwise. Feel for Hawthorn fans, I think it's probably going to be a bit of a long year.
Yeah, well, Geelong needed to win this game. Otherwise, some serious questions would start to be getting asked.
Well, we looked at Port last year, who started 0-5 and probably better than that on paper. So if Geelong go out and start 0-4, you can literally start forgetting about top 8 kind of stuff if you have that start. Doesn't really matter who you got on paper. So a crucial win for the Cats there.
Really leaps them off as well, and their percentage is really good. So and
play West Coast next week. So given this horror start for the defending champs, they probably come away from it 2-3, and you start thinking, okay, season's well and truly on track.
Who's got 2 wins? You go. It's pretty stacked middle pack of the moment.
Very early.
It's very early.
The 16. Yeah, it is still very early, but they really needed to kick it into gear, and they did in the second half. And let's hope they can keep that going for the foreseeable future.
Quickly run through that ladder. So there's only one team with 16 points. That is the St Kilda Saints. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? Into a reasonably congested then top 4 with Carlton, Melbourne, and Essendon. Collingwood also 12 points, and then you come into just 2-2 madness. Swans, Crows, Lions, North, Port, Dogs. Richmond there with the 1 win in the draw, separating them from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams on 4 points, and that being the Cats, Dockers, Giants, Eagles, Suns, Hawks.
Have you bought your grand final tickets for the Blues?
No, not yet. Last season was. I think I said a lot of things which could be played back.
I was hoping you'd say them again. So when they finish ninth again, I can lap up all the salty tears. Oh yes,
that's called entrapment, my boy. I need to fall for it. I've seen that movie with Sean Connery.
Yes.
Entrapment. Niche reference there. Catherine Zeta-Jones says, or I said hi to her as a 14-year-old. I don't know. All right, boys, let's talk about some cricket.
Right.
The IPL continues to roll. We had speculated last week that Kane Williamson may have done his ACL. The scans come back, and for the Kiwi skipper and legend, it was the worst possible news. His ACL is done. He will miss the ODI World Cup. There's no doubt about that. It's September.
Yeah.
So
he'd need some Adrian Peterson kind of recovery to be able to play in that.
So it's not going to happen. So massive blow for Kane and for Kiwi fans. So hoping his rehab goes okay and the like. But you hate to see it. It's something again you don't see very much in cricket. We spoke last ep about cricketers that have done ACLs.
Not many,
and it seemed like half of them wasn't on the cricket field. So.
Yes, yeah.
It's a shame for the Kiwi, or Black Cap skipper. The IPL has been rolling on. If you do yourself a favour, don't go back and watch our prediction video.
Well, I think we said, and I will say, I think we said in this, the tournament, the beauty of the IPL is anyone can win it from anywhere.
Yeah.
And, we're kind of seeing that. We're seeing the teams that are having a red hot start, some teams that, we didn't think would have been playing better, and that's just the product of the IPL, which is so great. So you can get around your team, and hopefully they do good. Unfortunately for us, the team we get around, the Delhi Capitals, hasn't won a game yet.
0-3, and pretty hard to as per the AFL or anything else. You start 0-3 and end up playing at the business end of the season. Davey Warner's been making a few runs, maybe not quick enough.
Yeah, strike rate, I think, is the issue.
Strike rate has been
which is
issue.
hard for him, of course, as being the opener for them, and then the Bison, I think, having another quiet IPL.
He's struggled very, very much so. Mitch Marsh, which is a shame because obviously we've seen as Aussie cricket fans what he can do in the white ball format. Davey Warner though did surpass 6,000 IPL runs during the week. So I think he's only the third player to ever do that, the first non-Indian. So testament to his longevity, over there in the IPL. But the Delhi Caps not going so well. They did lose to defending champs Gujarat earlier in the week, and then there were a few other games with mostly focus on the Aussies or anyone that sort of did well. But Shikhar Dhawan, we'll talk about him in a sec, made 86 not for his Punjab Kings. In their close win against Rajasthan Royals, the Rajasthan Royals, in which Nathan Ellis took 4 for 30. So good to see.
How had Butler doing that one?
I just closed it, but I don't think he made too many in that one. Although he does sit fourth,
150, average about
fourth
50
overall. KKR, who we didn't talk about because we kind of thought they'd be.
We were there. They were the ones we were most worried about.
Yeah, we forgot that they've got the Lord.
Yes,
the Lord Shardul Thakur. He made 68, striking at 234.
Show me that top order. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was a bit the middle there, a bit light on, but
I think it's what we spoke about. Like they just don't have anyone like Sunil Narine and Andre Russell are incredible.
So
players.
question, Jimmy, can you confirm for me this? I think these guys signed Jason Roy during the week, which I thought was a pretty good get for them for an extra bat. But then again, it's like how's he fit in that team?
Well, Venki Iyer is going to play. Nitish Rana's the skip, so they'll both keep their spots at the top of the order. Rinku Singh, we'll get to in a second. He's pretty good. So if the Roy signing has gone through, I don't know. Does Mandeep Singh go? But he's Indian, so then a foreign bowler has to go. I'm not sure how they'll work it.
Yeah, they signed a deal with him.
Yeah, so confirmed. Yeah, so they do have an extra bat, and I thought that was for name value. I guess they're the team that just didn't have the big name value that we're, I guess us casuals that don't know every single Indian player that's out there, we're kind of maybe lacking. But yeah, they've been doing really well.
Yeah, indeed. Again, early days, but great start there from the Knight Riders. Lucknow as well, looking pretty good. They won a low-scoring affair against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Just seeing who did the damage here. Brother of Hardik, Krunal Panja, pretty good with the ball in that one.
Jimmy, can you just check for me, where is Harry Brook on that list?
He hasn't made many.
Yeah, scroll. Unfortunately, he's not on that top 20.
No, he's a long way down. So big name in terms of money.
Value and considering there he is.
So
29 runs.
29 runs.
Yeah, hasn't done much just yet. The Rajasthan Royals did get a win against our Delhi Capitals. That was the one where Josh Butler made a coupler. I don't know what the answer is for Delhi at this point. They don't have any sort of foreign quicks out or foreign bowling outside of Nokia. Do they bring in the Fizz, but then you've got to drop another international stick, which I don't see them doing. They're really facing an uphill battle at this stage. Poor Delhi Caps.
I hate to say it, but do you think they're anchored because they got David Warner up there? He's the one that's kind of scoring runs. He's not scoring quickly enough.
He's still scoring runs. He's third overall.
But my point is, him, of course, being there, is that then anchoring what they could do in their side?
No.
We did kind of talk about that they were the team that would need to get bulk runs.
Yeah.
Because they don't really have the bowling to back it up.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can criticise a bloke who's...
I'm not criticising. I'm just thinking for them, if they wanted to make changes and, like you said, drop an international stick, if it is David Warner, to then get a young... are they tied to the fact that they have David Warner is what I'm
100% they are.
Who else is going to be scoring runs for them?
Yeah. But any of these teams where you've got a big international signing, the fact that you can only have 4 of them, you inevitably you're going to be tied to...
Actually, it's probably the wrong way to look. They probably need to get more out of the Bison.
100%.
Out of Marshall.
And that's coming from the biggest Bison fan getting around.
Yeah, he had a pretty average IPL last year as well, but he had COVID last year going into it, so I gave him a pass. But yeah, he's gonna probably of the lot, he probably needs to find some form, and then Warner just needs to kick it up a gear and get that strike rate up.
The problem with the Bison as well is that they've got Rovman Powell and Riley Rousseau as well, who play similar roles. Bat sort of middle order, top to middle order, and can score some runs pretty quick. If Mitch Marsh isn't delivering,
and of course they've got the big out with no part. So.
Well, but they knew that their season was going to look like that for months, really.
But still, it's
of course it is. Yeah,
it's a huge out for them.
Blokes, $2 million US of their salary cap, so it's massive that he's not available.
Yeah, just looking at that strike rate for Warner compared to the rest of
117. It does stick out a little bit.
Yeah,
where everyone else is sort of between 130 to 180 seems to be the spread.
Yeah, I think 150 is kind of what, let's say, par is kind of where you want to be.
Can you bring up the table there? Obviously, it is early days. A lot of teams have played 3 games so far, so you start seeing.
I just want to say, Rashad Khan, good. He got a Hattie in their match as well.
Oh, did you get a Hattie?
Yeah,
what's that?
And then they lost that game, I think, because they hit 5 sixes in the last over to win it.
Oh, that was Rinku Singh.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. He'll be very, very happy with the way that he's been going about it. So looking at the bowlers, Rashid, Yuzi Chahal and Mark Wood all have 8 scalps so far. Mark Wood obviously had that 5 for the Super Giants.
Scroll, Jimmy. Scroll.
Who are you after?
So anyone from Delhi Capitals. Scroll.
Oh,
Which I think is
in terms of polls, it has been an issue.
There's no one in the top 20.
Where's Nokia? Is it first? Oh wow! Then there you go. It's Khalil Ahmed has 3. Yeah. So bowling definitely an issue at the moment for Delhi.
Can't hit quickly enough. Can't get blokes out.
Delhi, the only team that's 0-3. Mumbai still chasing their first win.
They played at 9, I assume. Then.
Yeah, I think so. I think they play RCB tonight.
Yes.
Sunrisers Hyderabad then in 8th. RCB Punjab, and then you come into all these teams that have started 2-1. So 6 teams that are 2-1. Just mentioned Punjab, CSK, Gujarat, Lucknow, KKR, and Rajasthan Royals. So obviously early days and a tight ladder so far. Probably the good thing for our Delhi Caps is that they're only 2 games off the pace, really.
Yep. Yes. It can turn around very, very quickly. How long's their season? How long how many matches they play?
I think they play 14.
14. Yeah.
Can you chase that up?
Sounds
because if you played everyone twice, it would be 18. But I don't think they do that. I'm pretty sure it's 14 from memory.
Yep, they play up until the 21st of May. Then they hit finals.
70 games total. I'm fairly confident it's 14 each. That is not 14 total. No, grand final
already done.
So if I check that,
oh yeah, that's a good way of doing it. You gonna count them up?
Yes, I can.
0-3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, 14.
Back yourself, Peppy. We'll continue to follow the IPL as it unfolds. Very early days, and hoping our Delhi Caps can start to get in the winners' circle.
Have a favourite?
Early, I think Gujarat, defending champs, have looked pretty good so far. They are 4th on that ladder there. It's obviously very early, and it's all sort of locked up. Yeah. I think Rajasthan, if Josh Butler can get going, we saw he's striking at 180.
Yeah, he's so good.
Pretty impressive. And Shikhar Dhawan, if he gets going, could carry. Where's he at? He's at Punjab, isn't he?
Yes, I think that's right. It was either them or Sunrisers, but I think Punjab sounds about right. I wanted to back the Knight Riders. Just because we shout on them so much in our preview. Of all the teams, they're the only one we were like, not sure about these guys. And of course, not a curse, but to give a big middle finger to the Esky is I do enjoy getting back at us. What was the answer there for Shikhar?
It is Punjab.
There you go.
That'll lead us into a massive week in one of our favourite sports to talk about. Monks, if you wouldn't mind.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang!
The play-in tournament is set. The last few games, interesting. The old Snoop Dogg meme.
Yeah.
You're looking at the box scores. A lot of teams resting players. Some without a reason to rest their players. We'll talk about the Dallas Mavericks in just a second. But let's start in the East. We've got 1 through 15. The season proper has finished as of today. The Bucks and Celtics are 1 and 2. No surprises there. Celtics, bit of news in Jaylen Brown. He cut his hand. Apparently he dropped a vase, went to pick it up, had to have 5 stitches. Should be okay for the playoffs.
It's a deep laceration.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I don't know if the whole story is there, but who knows? Apparently he's going to be okay. 76ers finished third. Embiid, 33 points per game. He's the scoring champ. Odds, please, for him taking out the MVP. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Cavs finished 4th. Knicks 5th. Nets 6th. Mikal Bridges, take a bow because I thought the Nets may have been in danger of dropping out of the top 6 after the KD trade.
Yeah, both the trades. We clearing house. We thought what are they going to do here? But they've obviously backed the young fellas.
And he's been great. He played 4 seconds today. I thought, is there something contract related in that? No, it's the fact that he's never missed a game ever. So they gave
his record going.
Gave him an honorary 4 seconds to keep his streak going. And then that gets us into the play-ins. But Monks, if you wouldn't mind, Joel slipped a little bit. What's he down to? 10s?
Yeah, down to $10. Greek Freak is the favourite now at $3.60.
Is that more recent though because they finished won the most matches, more games this season with 58? Considering Embiid and the 76ers and the Nuggets were 54 and 53 as a comparison.
Yeah, but I don't know. Joker's been at the top of that MVP chat for ages, and I think he's just his injury kind of has
slowed it down a little bit.
Slowed down, whereas Giannis was kind of sort of playing until he got rested.
He got rested for bunched and missed a whole bunch of games as well.
But Giannis said something along the lines of, "I think I've been the MVP the last 5 seasons." And pretty hard to argue with it.
Also true.
Yeah.
Considering, I guess, some of the teams have tried to put around the other blokes, and he's been a one-man show for a little while.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
Of the Greek variety.
So what was those final odds? So
he was 350.
Yep.
And then Tatum's up at 6s.
6.
Wow,
Yep.
KD 750. I think that's a bit short, but we'll see what happens. Embiid 10s.
I swear,
Curry 11. Jaylen Brown 12s.
I swear this time
what world is Jaylen Brown and Joker on the same?
I don't know. Is he looking at the wrong thing? Because
it's MVP.
It is MVP.
I was very confused when I first saw it.
Yeah, because a week ago, Embiid was so short. He was $1 something, and then Joker was like $7. For it to change so much.
Dramatically.
Yeah, dramatically, and have all these other guys that really haven't been in that conversation all season, though you're playing very well, not shitting on them or anything. I just find it interesting that the odds have shifted so much.
It's NBA Finals.
It is.
There we go. I knew he'd fucked it up.
That's why I thought it was so weird.
I was like, this doesn't seem right, Jimmy.
I was like, Jaylen Brown. The fuck?
You go NBA Player Awards, and that's all they show.
Yeah, but it should still be there. Go to Futures.
That's probably Futures.
No. Credit to you. There's no market there at the moment, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, I thought it was a bit strange.
I was very confused.
I was going along with it. I was like, KD hasn't played half a season.
Yeah, I thought you could just see your screen and say MVP on it.
I can see his screen. It does say MVP. It just says finals in front of it.
Clearly, I can't see my own screen.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Do you actually need
Here we go.
Do you need glasses?
I think I found
it. Well, we're getting closer. No, we're not getting any closer.
It literally should say like Jokic, Embiid, single digits. Everyone else double digits. That's what it's.
Is it because the season's ended? They've just closed markets?
I don't know.
When they announce it?
It hasn't been announced. It doesn't get announced for ages.
Yeah. So I found an article about Giannis, and it basically talks more about Greek fatigue, because he did win the award in 2019, 2020. And, he, of course, wants to win his third. the quote, "Do I want a third MVP? Hell, fuck yeah, I want a third one."
Hell, fuck yeah.
Never begged for the MVP award, but I believe I deserve it. I'm very proud of that water level because I've been making my team very successful. That's the goal. But in this article, they talk about the Joker and Embiid being the top two fighting it out.
Here, I got some US odds courtesy of this site, which I've got no idea what it is. But essentially, a 2-horse race with Joker and Embiid at plus 115, into Greek Freak at plus 450, and then blowout to Tatum in the thousands.
That seems right to me.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Jalen Brown and KD
Yeah, because I was trying to work out. You think, well, why did Joker and Embiid completely fall off the fucking map? Like, Jimmy.
It is interesting though
that they don't get accounted for in the finals,
and no one fucking thinks the Nuggets can do anything, which we'll get to in when we talk about the West in just a second.
So where we get to?
We got to play-ins.
Let's talk play-ins. Heat,
Hawks, win and go straight through. Got the Heat jersey up there. I think down there in the 305 should get it done, although it is just one game of basketball. The Hawks have been so mediocre this year that all those stats that have come up about not being able to win games consecutively, not going on any long losing streaks.
They've just been average. They're 500.
They've been
right on average. I think the Heat just started so slow without Jimmy buckets, and they've played better in the back end of the season. So
are the Heat like? Hang on. Are the Heat like the Lakers in that they're both 7 seeds and maybe on paper have the potential to go on a bit of a run here?
Yeah, they're teams you'd be worried about, especially with the Heat considering where they got to last year. Maybe less so the Lakers because they missed out completely. Miami played in the final series, so I don't think they're too removed as a team from that. They just were banged up for a large part of the start of the season and kind of had to get back and get going once Jimmy buckets got back. That's where I feel they are.
I'm with you. We're looking at the Nets and post trade. I think the Heat on paper are better than them. I think they're better than the Knicks. And then I think maybe you can start having the conversation with the Cavs and that young core that they've got.
Yeah, but that's probably the concern I got for the Nets and probably for the Cavs. Yeah, maybe they're too young. They're like, yes, they're a young team. This will be a great learning experience for them. They're maybe not built to win the competition yet.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the Heat have that. That's kind of where they're at. They've got more of that experience, so they'll be competitive. And when those games get tough, when they're deep in the series, playing Game 5, etc.
But then you have to then extend the conversation to: is there any chance in hell that they could get past the Bucks or Celtics?
Well, they couldn't last year, so
and I don't. What's changed?
Yeah, agree.
For me, it's a real 2-horse race, and they're both the teams in green in this one. If JoJo can go nuts and really put Philly on his back, maybe. But for me, it's much more clear cut in the East as to who the finals.
I agree.
Team's going to be. I think it's a coin flip between the Bucks and the Celtics.
Yeah, I will throw in one caveat that the 76ers are good enough to compete and steal a game on their day. So they'd be the outside to that, but I think they play a pretty close third fiddle. But they have to come up and not shock, not surprise, but they got to play really good basketball, be really competitive to maybe steal a couple of games if they play in a series against the other two to make it into that final.
Raptors and Bulls have the elimination play-in. I believe that's Wednesday, and then they will get the loser of that Heat-Hawks game. Probably outside of the Heat, don't really see any of these other play-in prospects bothering too many people. Come late April into May.
Yeah, and the others get a week break, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's not even a week. It's like 4 days.
4 days,
yeah. But here we are. Here we go. All right, let's talk in the West. And, we kind of alluded to the fact that the Nuggets finished with the 1 seed and always were looking like getting the 1 seed. But no one really has them being the best team in the West.
Yeah. It's maybe that part of like, does Gordon do enough for the team? Are they heavily dependent on Joker? Do they need Joker to get a triple double to get a win? Like, yes, it probably is that conversation. But I think it's for those other guys in that team, if they really want to make a good run this year, they need to step up.
Yep.
Otherwise, they'll run into, Golden State Warriors and get blown out. And like, oh, okay, they've still got a really good team, top 5.
Let's talk about the Grizz, Monks. Can you get a Steve Adams injury update? From what I was hearing, he may miss the whole first playoff series, which the way that it's looking could be the Los Angeles Lakers. If you go in Adams less and with a healthy AD, that sparks major concerns in my mind for the Grizzlies. Obviously, a lot with Ja Morant and his off-court antics, through the start of 2023. How do they bounce back from that? I like the Grizzlies. I like what they do. I think I've said it on the podcast before, I love watching Ja Morant play basketball as the baller. I think what he's done off the court has been a little bit dubious.
Yes.
But it's a little concerning, I think, if Adams isn't good to go.
Answer there, Jimmy.
Probably NBA, day-to-day. Who the fuck knows?
Exactly.
Could be tomorrow. Could be a month. Yeah. Is it a PCL that he's coming back from?
PCL. Last week, there was a report saying he will likely miss the entirety of the playoffs.
So not even the first series. Could be everything.
Yeah.
That hurts.
That is scary for the Grizz.
Yeah, he's a big part of their culture and team as well.
Yeah.
So, but not just besides being the big man that does a lot of work for him. He's a big presence, veteran player.
Yeah.
Shine the beam. The Kings, they don't quite get the 50 wins, but they've been the talking point of the whole West. Darren Fox is very good. Demetrius Sabonis, elite, obviously all-star, putting up all kinds of numbers. And Keegan Bradley, as you shouted a bit last week, has been pretty handy amongst shooting the 3 ball.
He did pass 200 as well.
He did get the 200?
Yeah.
Good on him.
Easy as well.
Good on him. Do they get past the Warriors? I think the odds will probably
Say no,
but they'll have the extra home game if it goes to 7. And I imagine it will be America cheering for the Sacramento Kings outside of people in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Agree.
Suns Clippers. This is interesting. This is really interesting. Both these teams, a lot of people probably have them better than the 3 teams ahead of them. Yeah. Healthy KD.
Have the Suns lost yet with KD?
Oh, good question. I don't know.
I don't think so, because I think we checked it last podcast.
And they hadn't?
And they hadn't. I don't think they lost.
And I think he played 1 and then sat 2 or sat 3 this week.
He definitely sat today's game.
That's a great question. I'm actually not sure. The Clippers as well, if it does come down to a Clippers-Lakers series at some stage, to have the mental edge, because they beat him this week, and that's 11 in a row for the Clippers. And then there was a big game, actually, because they played the Suns, albeit their reserves, today to hold on to 5th place. Yep. And the Warriors were trying to jump them, and they absolutely annihilated the Blazers' reserves, with Steph and co playing. But it's, again, maybe it's not the worst thing. And it's also that Warriors mentality, like we kind of want to finish as high as we can. It probably works out good that they'll miss the Suns and get the Kings. Yeah. But yeah, they tried their ass off today, and I think they put up 150 burger against the poor Blazers B team. This play-in, very interesting as well. The Lakers watched them all year. Lakers watched. There was a period where I was like, nah, line through them.
Yeah, they're not going to do it.
And then there was a period where we were like, they may not even need to worry about playing in because they might make the playoffs.
Yeah, they needed to make a run. They made the run. They, made those couple of trades, moved some veterans, got some young fellas in, and it seems to have revitalized the team a little bit, and they got the run they needed to make it into the top 10, into a playoff spot. We'll finish 7th.
Finished 1 game behind the Warriors,
yes.
so was just a bee's dick away. They'll get the T-Wolves at home, and as we spoke about, if they win that's straight into an interesting, probably winnable series for the Lakers against the second-seeded Grizzlies. Massive win from the T-Wolves today. They actually played the Pels, so that was essentially like their first play-in game, because they're going to avoid the elimination game now. And the Pelicans, despite the best efforts of Brandon Ingram, who had a 42-point effort in a losing side, they'll finish 9th. They'll play an elimination game Thursday morning our time against OKC. And I imagine a lot of Aussies will be riding them because of Josh Giddey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We're hopeful to see the Thunder improve, but I don't like their chances of getting very far. A very, very young team. I did want to ask a question on the Pearls. Is Zion's season done?
Can you chase that up?
Because I've seen a lot of him sitting on sidelines and not much else. So,
I didn't think officially. Here's the thing. They may have 2 games left in their season. Well, they may have 1.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the Thunder, but even if they win, then they'll have to go to an away court and get a pissed off Lakers team or a T-Wolves team, which plays pretty good with their big 3.
Yeah. Anything on Zion quickly, Jimmy?
Doesn't look good.
Continued absence.
Yeah, that's all I've been seeing. There's just regular absence. He's just not playing. I think there's something floating in the news this week about him and his contract. Big deal potentially coming up.
That article is just like play in no. If they are to make the playoffs, should be good. Or according to Hardwood Paroxysm, Zion Williamson injury update. Fuck if we know, man. Seems to be the way in the NBA.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about these Mavericks boys.
But Dallas.
They had a chance to sneak into this play-in had they played their starters, and they sit all their starters. I think Luka plays a quarter against the Bulls.
I don't think he played that much, but yeah, it's seems silly in a must-win game against the Bulls too. If they win their last 2 games, they could potentially skip the Thunder and get that 10th spot. It was sudden death, and all your best players are riding the bench.
Well, it's obviously tanking. It's not silly.
Yeah, but I think
it's quite obvious what they did.
Yeah,
but then I see the visual of Mark Cuban, who's the owner of the club, when they missed the go ahead jumper to essentially tie the game up, and not to tie the game, potentially win the game late, was visibly disappointed in the fact that they didn't get it. So.
I'm sure the players on the court still wanted to try and win that game.
And
the organisation was like,
maybe that's my question: is the owner also keen for winning, but maybe the GM and the coach are more like, hey, let's start thinking about next year and where we could potentially get some extra talent.
Well, it's interesting because the NBA has a lottery system, and what they've said is we would rather roll the dice and try to get Wembanyama than finish 10th and go 1 out in the play.
But don't they need a couple dice rolls to go their way to be able to get that?
Yeah. It's tanking for the ability a shot to perhaps pick up a generational talent.
To I guess pair with a generational talent. Yeah.
I want to have a look because I did see them. They posted like a thank you to the fans and this and that. Oh no, damn. Well, they turned the comments off.
All right. Well, that answers your question though.
Yeah.
They're probably getting hammered, and the fact that's why they've turned it off.
Yeah, I can go down to other ones. Lol, the Mavs disabled comments on the end of season post. Luka deserves better than this. Mavs social media team really turned off the comments on their thank you fans post. Clown skull. Laugh my ass off. Why are they even posting anymore? They turned off the comments for the farewell post. Skull.
So just looking at a news article here, apparently the Knicks were going to get the Mavs first round pick if they landed in the top 10 off the back of the Canapsis.
So it's tied up
conditionally as well.
in the conditional one with the Porzingis trade.
So
that makes
there's
sense.
probably a few moving parts to the whole decision.
It's so yuck, though. Like,
it sucks for the fans. Like it's good
Yeah.
for the organisation and the business part of it, but it sucks for
it's just gross.
a Dallas fan and another wasted year for Luca. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get if those years aren't infinite. That's the other thing.
No.
So yes, he'll probably play maybe not 20 years like LeBron, but he's going to have a long career. But
Definitely got 10 more in him.
yeah,
but
but at his peak, you want him to be in a final series, potentially trying to win.
And given what this organisation is dishing up at the moment, how many more of his years should be spent with them? That's what the question's going to be moving forward.
Is Kyrie a rental or is he going to be?
No, it's a 1 year. Is it 1 year?
I think it was a 1 year deal.
Yeah, so I think it's if memory serves, it was the rest of this season and next year. Is that the
that sounds about right. Yeah, we did look this up. Yeah, the rest of the season and next year.
I think.
Yeah, but that's not to say that they won't move him again to position themselves to get a younger talent. Maybe
there does seem to be something with that man, and I don't know if it's who he is as a person or locker room presence or his views off the court or whatever. But it seems recently wherever that man goes, it doesn't bode well for the team around him.
Yeah, well, they clearly didn't have great chemistry with him and Luka.
They slipped. They were worse with Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, I think they were winning games when one of them played.
Yeah.
But together they just couldn't get a win. So, which is crazy to think.
Anything on Kyrie's deal?
No.
Is the short answer.
Yep. The NBA is investigating the Mavericks over the whole situation, though. So I don't know what that means or
Fine, maybe.
what happens.
Maybe. Well, usually that kind of thing is if it's not a big fine or anything, it's picks.
Yeah.
Do they go after their first week pick? Do they have to? It's not void it, but release that, give that back, and you don't get it. Which again would hurt them massively, considering the fact they kind of tanked.
Yeah.
The other teams to miss out, the Jazz, bit of a disappointing finish after their hot start. A lot of the off-season chat, as it always is around the Trailblazers, is Dame Lillard's future. Rockets and Spurs both win 22 games, but the Spurs finish below them. I think it's their first time ever being the last in the West overall. So definitely a rebuild there in San Antonio.
Big time rebuild.
Let's go from one round ball to another one. United continue the Everton woes 2-0. Scott McTominay is playing pretty good. He's in form for United and Scotland. Monksy, if you wouldn't mind chasing up Marcus Rashford, he did leave this game with an injury, the old Rash vest, and Martial with a winner to keep United's Champions League aspirations well and truly going. Aston Villa getting a win against Not Forest. The Villains, they're actually travelling a little bit sneaky good under the radar. Their fourth win in a row. Brentford, they go down to Newcastle. Ivan Toney, I think he had 22 straight penalties without a miss. Misses one there. Still scored, but Maggies get the win. Also looking for playing Champions League football. Hammers get an away win against Fulham, so probably avoiding relegation there. A team which is still could be looking at relegation is Leicester. They go down at home to Bournemouth, and it was an absolute capitulation of a goal. Tottenham getting a win against Brighton, and it was the 100th Premier League goal for Son. It was actually a really nice goal, top right bin for Son, and Harry Kane doing the damage with the 79th minute match winner. And I suppose the big talking point in the EPL this week was Chelsea. They lost. They tried the old sack the coach and didn't work. Graham Potter getting the sack. I think he was only there 6 or 7 months. Frank Lampard comes back in, having formerly coached a team, obviously Chelsea legend. He's an interim at this stage, might have to go down the hook route of applying for his own job. Yes.
I think the reports are they're already interviewing other guys. Like they're already looking at next season.
They've tried the Lampard direction and it didn't really work out, before Thomas Tuchel. Look, they're a far cry from where they were with Conte and Mourinho. And Look, it was a good goal from Nunes, the Wolves player, but Chelsea just an absolute basket case at the moment. Southampton get belted by Man City. The Viking, Haaland, I nearly call him Victor because I've been watching so much Masters recently with Victor Hovland. But Erling Haaland had a crazy left-footed bicycle finish. City looked pretty good in that one. And then overnight, the big one was Liverpool and Arsenal having a draw. Arsenal, I can't remember the last time they went to Anfield and come away with 3. I think Palace pretty handedly looked after Leeds, but it kind of sets up. There's put it in your calendars. There's a game in which Arsenal has to take on City at the Etihad. I know I'm getting you to work overtime. Maybe Sean, if you wouldn't mind looking up when the City Arsenal fixture is. It's looking like it could decide the league this year. Rashford?
Yeah, on Rashford, all I've got is could miss weeks.
Day to day.
Yep.
Or week to week.
Week to week.
Does it say what the injury is?
Groin.
Never good for soccer players.
Ooh.
Held adductors.
Jimmy did have Liverpool Arsenal from today playing a draw 2-2.
Did mention it. It's big for Arsenal, you know. No one expects them to go to Liverpool and take away the 3 points there, but they dropped 2 there, and from what I can see, it's shaping up as this City Arsenal fixture.
27th of April.
27th of April. Put it in your calendars. That's midweek.
So that's match day 33. So it's
3 weeks. Three weeks away.
matches.
Because that is midweek, I'm pretty sure, because Anzac Day is a Tuesday. So that's like a Wednesday or Thursday night game. That could be what decides the league this year.
Yeah, because it's pretty close there. They're the only two within touching distance. Newcastle and Man United too far away.
Probably a 3-horse race there for Champions League with Newcastle, United, and Spurs.
Yeah, Villa's probably
theoretically, Villa and Brighton are there, but who knows? Well, Brighton have a couple of games in hand, but look, do we see Brighton being in the best 4 teams in the Premier League? Just it's a testament to how well they've played.
Yeah, maybe they get to 5th. They get to as the UEFA Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, I think 6. They're 5, 6, and then depending make UEFA or Europa League, I should say.
Yep. What's the bottom line of that? Do you mean it finishes off?
Southampton, Leicester, Forest, Everton, Leeds, Bournemouth, West Ham, Wolves, Palace, and then there's 6 points to Chelsea. So 12 through 20 all in danger there. So that's maybe the more interesting race is that 10 points.
Keep talking about it.
10 points that splits 8 teams there.
Yeah, I think Southampton probably will be one. Kind of glued to the bottom there. Be interesting. Leicester City. Imagine that Leicester City after dropping out.
Yeah, winning the whole thing 5,000 to 1 just a few years ago. Obviously, not many of those players left, but still have Jamie Vardy and a couple. And it'd be pretty sad to see them go from winning the league, the unwinnable league, to being relegated. 5-6 years later.
Yeah, it's an interesting little race there because there's some names there like Leeds, Everton.
Well, the Toffees, we've spoken about them on the pod this year. It's 80 years of history if they get relegated. The other big talking point in the football world this year, we saw Ronaldo take the bag earlier, in the last 12 months to go over to Saudi League. But Messi, by reports, has been offered 400 million euros, not for a 3-year contract, per year from Al Hilal. Messi has stated that his priority is to stay in Europe, blah, blah, blah. Heard that before. Don't want to go to a minor league, blah, blah, blah. Cristiano.
You just won a World Cup, bro. Did you need to win anything else? Probably not. Go get the bag and retire.
Going to be interesting to see what happens. The chat is that his PSG days may be coming to an end. The other options seem to be a return to Barca seems pretty likely. Barca going to win La Liga this year, so they've pretty much wrapped that one up.
Have they sorted their books out?
Well, obviously
they couldn't pay players.
Fucking La Liga doesn't care. That was the big talking point, I should say, heading into the soccer leagues at the start of the year, and Seems like it doesn't matter, really, to be honest.
Well, I guess the only player they were paying was Messi, so
Yeah.
they'll pay him and just nick it from everyone else.
Well, if he returns, I imagine he's got his money. The other chat's into Miami. Would he go over to Major League Soccer?
Because I think they were also chasing Ronaldo, so they've still got cash, I guess, lying around to push for a big name like that to come across and promote that league, which is what the Saudis are doing. So, yeah, but I don't think it's 400 million euros worth.
Just a lot of money. That's 600 something Aussie dollars.
Yeah, for a year. That's crazy.
$500 million.
We might have to start following this Saudi league if Messi and Ronaldo are both playing in it.
Over my cold dead body.
They haven't got us yet. So
Yeah, though it might be a hot dead body if I get buried in the Saudi desert. Monks, any news there?
No, more news with his links back to Barca than anything else. By all accounts, sounds like they're trying to work out some sort of transfer.
Well, yeah, but if they're talking transfer, then it sounds like it's not a done deal, but it's definitely on the cards and they're working towards it.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah, definitely.
That leads us into a massive On The Esky final round. And new, but not really new because he's always been the champ, but did lose the belt. Israel Adesanya reclaims the middleweight title with a second round knockout win over Alex Pereira. And a massive mental victory for Izzy there too, given that Pereira had his number in the first UFC fight, but also in those two kickboxing fights prior to that. Boys, what do we think of the first round? Did we maybe have Pereira winning that first round?
Yeah, Pereira is very confident in the
accounts,
fight. Yeah, you just see that he felt very confident in his ability in fighting Israel for the fourth time. It was a very good fight, very technical, kickboxing fight as well. A lot of kicks to start off, a lot of length, checking, and they were kind of working it out. A lot of calf kicks by Pereira to try and wear down Izzy like he did in the first fight in the UFC. So, and I guess credit to Israel, he obviously saw something in his game. There was definitely, we knew there was a shot that he landed in the last fight in the end of the first round, which really rocked Pereira. Pereira did a great job working his way back into that fight to then land his own shots in the last round. But for Israel, kind of, I guess, worked that, knew the leg kicks were going to be damaged, played possum, I guess, a little bit is what they use. I think he used that quote because it's very kind of Australian Anzac kind of quote to use. They're playing possum.
I think they have them in America too. I think they know what it means.
Laying up against the cage, getting Pereira to come in, and Pereira comes in and goes to the body, working it kind of to me, it looked like he was going, not through a chain run, but, that kind of exercises go, left body, right to body, come up top, fast strikes, like very confident in that, hey, I'm going to get this win in this fight. Israel just absorbed all that punishment and then found his spot for his counter, which looked very reminiscent of the one in the you got to be in the second round. There you go. So he comes forward, works the body. Israel wears that kind of Robodopa-esque and throws a big right counter and knocks him out.
Well, Pereira does get a good hit on Izzy to back him up.
Yeah, but he's just like, go to the body, works it, and then
his hands just are down.
Yeah, he's because I feel like he thinks he's finishing the fight. He's confident, like, hey, I'm going to get this here. But Israel just wore it and then knocked him out cold. So.
Do you think it's a beautiful, tactical fight there from Izzy, sort of protecting himself and wearing a few of those shots, and then boom, hitting him with the counter?
Oh, I agree. The falling down celebration was in reference. He was pointing at Pereira's kids in that because they famously did that after he knocked him out in the second kickboxing fight. So a bit of sweet revenge there
against children.
A bit of payback.
I like the archer. Yeah. Shooting a few arrows into him.
Yes, well, that because Pereira does that as well. That was in his walkout. So, I think, if you want to make a Hollywood movie about UFC, their storyline is elite. How
It's
look, Izzy is your protagonist. Losing the kickboxing fights, going away, becoming the UFC middleweight champion, cleaning the division out. Then your boogeyman comes back and beats you. You got to go away, got to go train hard, really put the work in, and to come back and get a statement knockout win over that boogeyman is a really impressive storyline. Sucks for the middleweight division because it goes back to where we are, where he's cleaned it out, and besides Whittaker, there's really no one knocking down the door that he also hasn't already beaten. So it's. Pereira is the perfect kind of part of his story in this now, but it's, I guess, unfortunate. Hopefully we'll see Pereira versus some of the other middleweights, but all likelihood with the weight cut being really difficult for him, he's going to go to light heavyweight.
Yeah, that seems to be the word coming out of the last 24 hours is that Pereira may be making that move to 205.
I think he weighed in last because unfortunately was up late at that time. And I was checking and everyone else weighed in. I was like, fuck, he's missed weight. And then he came out with about 30 minutes to go. Weighed in. But
Didn't he do like a week or 8 days weight cut? Like it's unprecedented huge amount of weight.
He walks around at 230 pounds.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's a huge dude. So, I think 205 is probably more likely for him long term.
And if that is the case, if Pereira does go up, is it just trilogy between Bobby Knuckles and Izzy?
Yeah, well, I can't see anything else currently. Like Bobby's there waiting. He's beaten all the other guys to get his next chance at Israel again. But it's not a huge fun fight. We've seen how that's gone the last two. Whittaker, maybe you could argue won the last one, but it was a close fought fight, went to decision. So it's a tough kind of bout to think. So. A lot of fun fights, of course, though, for Pereira to go up to light heavyweight.
Indeed.
His coach in Glover Teixeira just retired and, of course, lost the belt to Hall. So there's that storyline. Petrarca's got to come back. Is Petrarca?
Prohashka.
Petrarca plays
Petrarca is number 5 for the Melbourne team.
Yeah. He's got to come back, of course, from his shoulder injury. So, there's some fun fights there for that stuff.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'll let you boys take it away. I'm going to pee my pants.
We're 2 hours in. Yeah. Take a quick wee break.
It's about that time, isn't it? We might need to sort out a little, bag or something for me.
The catheter.
Yeah, that's right. Catheter bag. I'll be back in a minute.
Yep.
Other fights in this, Gilbert Burns did what I expected, I guess the bookies expected. He got a win against Masvidal. Controlled the whole fight. Won by decision. Masvidal retires was probably the big bit out of that. Will duck, maybe duck Kevin Holland a little bit because they had some words in the hotel and then post way in outside the weigh-in facility. They were getting into it again. Street Jesus was very, very prevalent in this. So I might skip here. Holland won his fight with a very impressive knockout. Did call out Masvidal. After his call out, he's like, after you lose to Burns, let's have that fight. Let's have that BMF belt on the line. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
But Dana, I think, shut that down. I think it was pretty well known that Masvidal was going to retire after this. If he couldn't get the win and then make another run at the belt. Been fighting for 20 years. You got to remember, he was in videos with Kimbo Slice.
Old school backyard, brawling.
Back in the day, YouTube. So
I don't know. I think it was always going to be an uphill battle for Masvidal. Even if he did win this fight, it probably just gets him one more fight in the UFC. That's only going to be even harder for him to win. And then
the division's a very stacked division. It's moved very quickly, and Masvidal was competitive against Burns, but Burns was clearly a better fighter of the two.
Yeah, that's it. And then back to Burns. Like, what's his next step? So there's obviously got to sort out the championship belt immediately. Does he get a shot after that? Does he go into another sort of who's going to be the first number one contender?
Well, can you bring out the rankings for welterweight? He's asked for it. I think in the press conference, Dana says, I can't deny that. I think And because Edwards had the comments about Masvidal fumbled the bag, etc. Because they had their history with the 3-piece and a soda. I think Edwards and Colby is step one, and then winner probably gets Burns.
Because besides those two, you've also still got Usman up there as the number one contender.
He needs to go away and fight someone else. And
which could very well be Hazmat.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this for Israel, potential fight for him potential fight that's interesting for Izzy is Hamzat coming up a division. So there has been conversation because I think long term, because weight cut sucks for him as well, long term middleweight's where he's at, and he wants to fight at both divisions. So, if they don't want to go with Whittaker trilogy, the Hamzat fight at 185 interests them. Don't think he gets a shot straight away at Edwards, but you got to remember they had a very close fight with him and Burns. So, I think it's Colby and then maybe whoever gets the next win. An Usman Hamzat fight would be quite interesting, actually. And then, maybe that means they do that and then Burns gets the winner of the title fight. Maybe.
Yeah.
UFC probably wants to capitalize on Hamzat's popularity at the moment sooner rather than later. So we'll have to see what they do there.
He's tailor-made to go up to middleweight as well. Can't struggles to make weight as it is in welterweight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Any other names there pop up?
In the welterweight, no, not really. And neither for
Bilal Muhammad? Needs another win.
Yeah, probably. That's the thing. I think there's a bunch of them that probably just need a win over one of the other guys in that group, and that'll put them in title conversation.
Yep.
If Burns had gone out there and starched Masvidal in the first round, then I would have thought, he's ready, give him the shot. That big statement piece, what have you done recently? It was a good fight, fighting out a decision, but it's a different conversation.
What about Rob Font getting back in the winner's circle against Adrian Yanez? I'd looked at this and I thought Yanez on the ascendancy, Font slipping. I think the bookies had Yanez as the favourite. Didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, and, up-and-comer, Font's given him a chance. They actually talked about how Font had someone else in his career had given him basically the same sort of chance, and he'd managed to get a win there and push himself into the division. But this short fight, but it was very competitive. You'll see Font had a big welt on his face because he did get hit as well, but he just managed to land the bigger kind of uppercut hook, which really laid his opponent out and finished the fight. It was a good, quick fight. But yeah, very good for Font. I mentioned Holland before. Another one of those striking fights, kickbox-esque, showed his pedigree as a stand-up fighter. Got the win there. Called out Masvidal, as I mentioned. His issue in the welterweight division is those guys at the top end of that division have a lot of wrestling pedigree.
He as a pure striker is scary.
Yes. Yeah. That's his kind of fights that he kind of lives with.
He's also coming off losses to Wonder Boy and Hamzat before that, so two pretty formidable opponents. But I think I texted you after the fight, and I thought, that looked pretty impressive from Kevin Holland. He's also in his peak right now at 30,
and come back to welterweight too. So he's gone up and down from.
Well, he's 6'3".
Yeah. Yes. They had the bit of chat, and this is like, hey, we know we both can get to 170. How about we stop weight cutting and fight this at like 180? Let's just go. Because, the weight cut sucks for him, but he can do it, and maybe makes it a little bit more competitive for him against those welterweights where he's got the length is probably the main thing. He's so much bigger than them range-wise, so that plays to his strong suit. But yeah, got to run into those wrestlers like Usman and Hamzat, etc. in that division, make it very, very difficult.
What about Rahul Rosas and Christian Rodriguez?
Yeah, the youngest man in the UFC unfortunately gets a loss. His opponent did miss weight, Rodriguez. I think, and I watched this because I missed this fight, and I watched some of this before, and you had the stat there only through two strikes. and really focused on the wrestling side of it. Shot, literally at the start of the fight, he comes out and shoots for a takedown, and that really was his game plan. But Rodriguez got the better of those exchanges and got the win there by decision, and derailed the hype train.
Is he 18, Raul?
Well, he sounds about right.
Yeah, I think he's, if not, he's
18.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah.
October 2004 to be in this sport.
Yeah, youngest man in the UFC.
And he had a 6-win
He's on a
streak as well.
He's on the main card of pay-per-view.
That's upsetting. The kid's got a bright future ahead of him, and obviously
Definitely.
goes away with the L there. But
the
fact that he's 18 and he's in the octagon on a main card is impressive in itself.
Yeah.
That's it. Hopefully, this doesn't stifle any of his confidence. He just gets back in the ring quickly and tries and chalks up another win. Potentially get a ranking.
We don't want to see him go the way that, say, Sage Northcott kind of went, where, he was a huge, big face, impressive looking man, and then once you get into that ranked kind of area of the division, was just too difficult for him. It's that's where the killers ended up. It'll be a big lesson learned in this one, and you learn your best lessons, of course, from mistakes, from losses.
True.
Briefly on the prelims, we were watching Kelvin Gastelum and Chris Curtis. Takeaways from this one?
Yeah, well, Gastelum riding the ship. He was 1-4 in his last fights.
Yeah, on a big slide. Yeah.
And he really needed a win to get back into relevance in the middleweight division. He's, of the ranked fighters, he's ranked last in 15th spot. So he needed that. And it looked like it was a pretty competitive fight that he got a decision on.
Which is kind of wild because he was like a contender not that long ago as well to have a bit of a slide.
Yeah.
Still only 31.
Yeah.
Could sort out his shit.
Yeah. And that division is, again, the guys he lost to are all ranked guys. That's what I mean.
And killers. Cannonier, Bobby Knuckles, Darren Till, Izzy in there, Jack Manson.
Hasn't fought a lot recently, though, as well. He took a year off, too.
That's pretty spread out.
Yeah, that is true.
Fought once in 2020, fought 3 times 2021, nothing last year, and then won this year. So, yeah.
That's a big, pushing 2 years that he was out of the octagon.
Then
any other takeaways?
Nothing else on that one. The karate hottie got that right this week.
Not the Korean hottie.
Losing a split decision. I didn't see much of this. It's a bit unfortunate for her. She really needs to start making headway in that division. Feel a bit sorry for her in this. I don't want to say that's the UFC might let it go after that, but that's always the risk when you're starting to float down the bottom here. I knew nothing about her opponent.
Yeah, neither.
She's ranked 15 and she was 10th. So.
Luana Pinheiro, for those following at home.
Waterson with a 3-fight losing streak. So
29-year-old Brazilian.
She's ranked 10th, so they're not going to cut her loose. She'll lose her ranking. Well, she'll slide.
She'll slide, yeah.
So they're not going to cut her, but yeah, she's on a big slide. She really needs something. Feel bad for her.
And Chris Barnett and Chase Sherman. A few heavyweights.
Was supposed to be.
And Barnett pulled out.
Yeah, Barnett put her out early in the week, and then
weight cut too much for the heavyweights. That's to get you 260 pounds.
265.
265, yeah.
He's a big boy though.
Big boy.
they did have a replacement for Carl Williams, but the day of Chase Sherman also pulled out due to medical issues.
So fight?
No fight there.
I think
that was the only fight that we had previewed last week.
Yeah.
Potentially, I'm not sure. I couldn't find any reports on that one.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that on the socials. He had a medical episode, which I think was seizure. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hyperbola.
Briefly, NFL news. The draft is in 3 weeks, but the big bombshell coming out today that Odell Beckham Jr. will be joining the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year deal. 15 mil
money?
US guaranteed.
Yeah,
with,
18 with career...
With incentives.
Yes.
You kind of brought up the point in the group chat. It seemed a little bit weird to you, considering that Lamar's future at the Ravens is uncertain at this stage, and receivers, generally speaking, in recent memory at least, haven't liked Baltimore as a place to
Hollywood
wind
Brown
up.
wanted out. Yeah, considering he still had an MVP quarterback there, and he wanted out. Kind of. Yes, Greg Roman was running the offense as the offensive coordinator. They love a run-heavy style with 2 tight ends, throwing it to Mark Andrews whenever they get the chance. But it's interesting because I thought OBJ was chasing a contender. They were heavy on the Jets. He was meeting with the Jets during the week, with, of course, the chat of maybe Aaron Rodgers, that happening. Maybe something came out of that conversation where he wasn't as confident with that potentially happening, so he's looking elsewhere. But I thought he was looking more for contenders. Not saying the Ravens aren't one, but where they are at the moment with the fact they don't have a quarterback currently signed in Lamar Jackson, they've got a transition tag on him and he has to sign that to play next year. Could hold out. There's all that potential speculation. I see the angle from the Ravens. It's great for them. They sign a big name wide receiver, get some support, get some extra help from Lamar. That's how you sell it back to Lamar. Hey, we've gone out. You got your weapon. We'll go get some more weapons in the draft coming up. Let's sign that big deal and let's get to work. So it's good for them. But I've just seemed a little bit odd. Seems a little bit concerning for Jets, maybe, with that conversation. I don't think that Rodgers trade will happen now till draft time. So I think we're going to have to wait 3 weeks.
See the draft.
Yeah.
Which is fast approaching, so we'll keep an eye on that as that unfolds.
Yeah, Pro Day's all done. We're in the final stretches for the draft coming up. And we'll look forward to that.
CJ Stroud or Bryce Young seems to be the chap. And briefly, finish on some Masters golf. We don't have a golf soundboard, do we?
What would the golf sound?
You know, have like a swing, shink, tick, and then 4 right, fuck, like something like that. Probably be, my golf experience at least.
Yeah, well, this week it was fuck trees.
Trees,
we had a tree or trees falling down. Some pretty inclement weather there throughout rounds 2
Did you
and
see that
and
angle
round
of the
3s.
video where the trees fell either side of some lady?
Dude, so lucky she was. Like, go buy a lottery ticket.
Yes, luckiest person on the planet.
That lady there. And a bit of a nightmare in terms of, for the PGA, in terms of how good the live players played. They were pretty happy, I think, that John Rahm got the job done. The big Rambo taking away the Masters Championship, the green jacket at the end of it. But there was a stage where Brooks Koepka had a big lead. Cam Smith was playing pretty good. Phil Mickelson made that crazy run today. I think he shot 7 under. To finish in second. I think 3 of the top 6 were live golfers. So that rivalry really heating up there. The fact that they were able to even play, caused some contention leading into it. But I think in terms of getting interest in the sport in general, it's probably a good thing. A bit of the old any publicity is good publicity kind of chat.
Fuckload of money in golf as well.
Exactly.
It all helps.
Shouted Tiger, a beer at the start of the ep. Go back and check that out or watch the short. But essentially made the cut 23 years running, with a body that was really failing him. Have to have a look at Sam Bennett. The best of the amateurs was in second at one stage, which is pretty impressive. You probably don't want to win it, I think, as an amateur because you don't take away anybody, but you also get to play the Masters the rest of your life. So maybe it is a bit bittersweet there.
Well, that's how you get your pro card, though. That's how you get on the circuit.
Win the Masters. It's pretty hard, this whole golf thing. But Rambo getting the job done. He's the most consistent golfer in the world at the moment. It's freakish how little that he plays bad shots. It seems to be the secret to playing good golf. Brooks Koepka having that big lead and then a bit of a bed shitting today. And the ageless, the timeless Phil Mickelson finishing second. Can you get an age for me on Phil Mickelson? He must be, early 50s? It's pretty impressive to go out there and have a round the way that he did today, shooting 7 under. Cam Smith looked pretty good, finishing top 10, I believe. Had a crazy 3-wood shot out of the fairway bunker. Hit hit a three wood out of a fairway bunker. It was pretty nuts from him. But Rambo getting the job done, and a lot of the heavy hitters in Scotty Sheff and Brooks Koepka now being with Live Golf, all there or thereabouts come final day. Given some pretty interesting weather there, it was a testament to how good these guys are at golf.
Better than us, Axe. That's for sure.
Phil is 52.
52, early 50s. We'll pay that one.
Yep.
Thank you, Adam Wegner, joining in the chat. Harry Brook isn't good, reckon. Look, I think he is pretty good. His test record probably suggests that he is pretty good, but obviously playing white ball cricket over there in India, maybe a little bit of a different story. Can Australia pick one leg spinner in the Ashes squad then? Good question. Nathan Lyon will obviously be the spinner, and then Todd. Well, Todd Murphy, I think, will get selected. He's also an off spinner. So do they go with Kuhnemann as in a left? Someone that spins it away from the right hander. Kuhnemann probably hard done by to miss out, and then do they go with a true leg spinner? Probably not. That leaves you.
Don't really have one floating around.
Swepson, I suppose.
I guess that is a conversation with Swepson.
But how many guys, do you want to take into an Ashes series in England that are spinners? I think there won't be a leg spinner. Would be my answer.
It's probably we're talking about this very late, but Jimmy, can you find the Australian team contracts? Because Hanscom missed out, so he didn't get a contract from Cricket Australia. Harris back in, got a contract. What was the other one? Someone else that missed out that was surprising as well. Because they're named, I guess, this year's...
the top 25, I think, normally get a Cricket Australia contract.
Yes.
There were some snubs. I think Todd Murphy did get one.
I think Todd got one, I thought.
Right up on the big screen.
On the big screen. Look at that. Scrolling down. All right. Sean Abbott, Ashton Agar, Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Pat Cummins, Cam Green, Marcus Harris, Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Mitch Marsh, Glenn Maxwell, Lance Morris, Todd Murphy, Michael Neser, Jai Richardson, Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, Marcus Stoinis, David Warner, Adam Zampa.
So no Kuhnemann,
no Kuhnemann, no Swepson there.
Yeah. No Hanscom.
No Hanscom either. Again, you can still play Test cricket without having a CA contract, but maybe that is showing their hand a little bit.
What they consider their future to be a little bit, especially, I guess, leaning into the Ashes.
Pretty good money there. Average return at $950,000. So a little bit of money, if that's the average. And the minimum is 367.
Minimum 3 and
max is 3.
Max. Well, maybe not max, but the top earners are around
Pat
3
Cummins and the like, Smudge.
Yep.
Yeah, Smudge, etc. So did that article have any snubs in the list besides the guys we could remember?
Control F snub. Hanscom, Kuhnemann, Renshaw, Matt Wade.
Wade's kind of fair. He's probably aging a bit now, but I think Hanscom and Kuhnemann, considering they played such a big part of the Indian series,
India,
to be left out. But I guess it kind of shows, are they Indian series specialists?
And it's hard being in that top 25 in Australia. It's pretty cutthroat, and the fact that that's red ball and white ball combined as well.
Yes.
But a little bit of a tangent there at the end of a big episode. Thank you.
Always got to round back to cricket.
Thank you, Adam, for joining us in the chat. Boys, that wraps up a massive show on the pod, a massive long weekend. And alas, it's nearly 11 o'clock on a school night, so let's get the fuck out of here. We're looking at Sunday next week, early word.
Yes.
So
sometime on the weekend.
Probably.
We'll sort it out.
We'll see you next week. We will have a few teams eliminated from the NBA playing comp. Always some footy and cricket to talk about, and whatever else happens in the week in the wide world of sports. Thank you to anyone that has joined, that has listened
Thank you.
Live, or that is listening now during the week. We do appreciate the support and the listens. We'll see you next episode. Catch you then.
Bye.